Chapter 1563. When the soul is gone, the face is red, and the infatuated girl waits for her lover in the wedding hall. How can a pair of mandarin ducks not be matched? Heaven and earth chase after each other. The woman just sat there quietly, her red makeup like fire. In front of the door, Yi Xian looked like he had lost his soul. After a long time, Yi Xian knelt in front of the door. He held his head with both hands and said with a trembling voice, "I'm sorry, self-blame." At this moment, Yi Xian was blaming himself very much. Those immortal emperor soldiers, even Yi Xian did not know who they were, but they were willing to die to protect him. And these immortal emperor soldiers, they could be someone else's son, father, or husband. What did he do to deserve so many people to die for him? Yi Xian felt like needles were stabbing his heart. At this moment, Higashilie Yasuo appeared next to Yi Xian. Looking at Yi Xian who was kneeling in pain, Higashilie Yasuo was half happy and half worried. She was happy because Yi Xian was loyal and righteous. She had all the information about Yi Xian and what Yi Xian had experienced. She concluded that this was a young man who was loyal and righteous. In terms of character, there was nothing to complain about. But she was worried because Yi Xian was too loyal. If a family head was too loyal, he might act on his emotions. This was not a good thing. As a family head, he must not act on his emotions. He must consider the situation. If he acted on his emotions, he might cause countless lives to be lost because of his personal feelings. Fortunately, Yi Xian was decisive and ruthless, especially when it came to dealing with his enemies. He never showed mercy. This was very good. As a family, he must be ruthless. After a while, Higashilie Yasuo collected her thoughts and turned around. Family head Xiao. As soon as the voice fell, an old man appeared in front of the door. The old man quickly bowed to Dongli Jin and Yi Xian respectfully. When he saw the woman in the room, the old man lowered his head slightly, and his body gradually trembled. Higashi Yasushi looked at the woman in the room and said softly, "Although Li Qing has not married Miss Xiao, but," the old man hurriedly said, "Li Qing is my Xiao clan's son-in-law. This subordinate will bury the two of them together. Since they are not fated in this life, let them reunite in the next life." Towards the end, the old man's voice trembled even more. Dongli Jing nodded. "There's a super spirit vein on the southern mountain outside the city. It's more suitable for cultivation. Xiao clan, move there. Other than that, the Xiao clan can send 2 people to the Undying Realm every 10 years to train with the geniuses of our Undying Imperial clan. Whatever our Undying Imperial clan's geniuses have, they also have. As long as our Undying Imperial clan exists, the Xiao clan will forever exist." The elderly man kneeled down and said with a trembling voice, "Thank you, leader." He knew that this time, the fate of the Xiao clan had changed. But this was at the cost of his daughter's life. Thinking of this, the elderly man turned around and walked into the room. He gently held the woman's hand and wept. "Girl, so cruel. You can die for him. But, have you ever thought about your father? Too cruel." Outside the room, Higashi Yasushi pulled Yi Xian up and said softly, "Let's go." Then, she turned around and left with Yi Xian. Behind them, the leader of the Xiao clan was crying like a child. Higashi Yasushi brought Yi Xian to walk on the streets of the city. On the streets, people bowed to them. Obviously, they all knew Higashi Yasushi and Yi Xian. Yi Xian's eyes were lifeless as if he had lost his soul. Higashi Yasushi said softly, "Do you know how many worlds our Undying Imperial clan controls?" Yi Xian shook his head. Higashi Yasushi said, "The 7-dimensional universe, the 8-dimensional universe, the 9-dimensional universe, and the 10 realms. There are countless other small worlds." Saying this, she looked at the horizon and said softly, our every word and action can determine the life and death of countless people. Yi Xian stopped and looked at Higashi Yasushi. I don't want people to die for me. Higashi Yasushi looked at Yi Xian. He didn't die for me. He died for the honor of his clan. Do you know how many people want to join the undying imperial army? Many, many people. These people's life's dream is to join the undying imperial army, including Li Qing. He joined the army when he was 12 years old. His life's dream is to join the undying imperial army and become a member. Saying this, she looked around and said, the undying imperial clan's existence today was exchanged with the blood of countless ancestors and experts. The clan's honor. Every member of the undying imperial clan will fight for the clan's honor. They will even die for the clan, including me. I know that since I was young, I wasn't loved and trusted by the clan. I don't have any sense of honor for the clan. I can understand that, and I won't force it. However, I want to tell you that as the young master of the undying imperial clan, countless people will follow and fight for the clan. They believe, follow, and even die for the clan. Their every word and action can determine the life and death of countless people. Yi Xian was silent. Actually, when he saw so many people risking their lives for him, he was deeply moved. He was the young master of the undying imperial clan. This was the first time he had seen such a united clan. These people would really die for the undying imperial clan. Higashi Yasushi said, there are two reasons why we came back and risked our lives for the clan. First, there is a chance to break through the shackles of the undying imperial clan. Second, and also the most important reason, is that we have the undying imperial bloodline. The blood that flows in our bodies is the same as ours. Of course, the clan's benefits are the most important. The reason why we value it so much is because there is a chance to change the undying imperial bloodline. The clan is too big. Emotions are a bit of a luxury in the clan. Yi Xian said, you are very frank. Higashi Yasushi smiled and said, you are a smart person. Is there any use in playing tricks? It's useless, isn't it? Yi Xian was silent for a moment, then said, back then, the azure-robed man and the undying imperial clan, Higashi Yasushi said softly, I don't hate him. Do you remember what I said just now? As the clan leader, every word and action can determine the life and death of countless people. At that time, the clan leader of the undying imperial clan, who is also my father, made a decision that almost destroyed the undying imperial clan because of his greed. He wanted to devour our blood to break through the shackles of the undying imperial bloodline. Second sister and third sister had a falling out with my father because of this. When the azure-robed man found out about this, he killed his way from the sixth dimension to the undying imperial clan. That battle. She looked at Yi Xian and said, do you want to see it? Yi Xian looked at Higashi Yasushi and said, can you see it? Higashi Yasushi nodded and said, yes. Because of that battle, I used a secret technique to preserve it. As she spoke, she looked at Yi Xian. You should try to understand that grudge. Because he is the only person who can resolve the grudge between the undying imperial clan and him. Yi Xian said softly, do you hate him? Higashi Yasushi smiled and said, as the clan leader of the undying imperial clan, I hate him because countless clansmen died at his hands. But I don't have the right to hate him, and I don't dare to hate him. As an ant, I don't hate him, and I can even understand him. Yi Xian said, being the clan leader must be very tiring, right? Higashi Yasushi smiled and said, very tiring. Actually, the clan leader should have been my mother because she was more talented. But because of that matter, not only did she fall out with my father, but she also hated the clan. I just didn't expect that she would take the initiative to contact the clan for me. Yi Xian did not say anything. Higashi Yasushi said softly, I also know a little about what happened between you and her. Don't hate her, the reason why she targeted you is because she thought that her child died for you. She did so many things just to get justice for her child. Yi Xian still did not say anything. Higashi Yasushi smiled and said, "Let's not talk about these things. Let's go and see that great battle." She placed her right hand on Yi Xian's shoulder and the two of them disappeared. On a certain mountain peak. The Forbidden Mountain. This was a forbidden area of the undying imperial clan, and ordinary people could not come here. Dongli Jing led Yi Xian to a mountain wall. She opened her palm, and a mysterious force suddenly floated up from her palm. The force slowly floated up and then sank into the mountain wall. Soon, the mountain wall began to tremble. Not long after, a huge light screen suddenly appeared on the mountain wall, and a man appeared on the light screen. That man was dressed in a green robe. A man in green clothes. At this time, Xiaota suddenly floated out of Yi Xian's body and jumped up and down. "Little master, it's master. Look! It's master." Xiaota was very happy. Yi Xian smiled and looked at the screen of light. On the screen of light, the man in green clothes was tearing space. That was the six-dimensional universe. At this time, the man in green clothes had a cold expression, and his eyes were scarlet red. His body emitted a terrifying killing intent and evil qi. Even through the screen of light, Yi Xian felt his heart palpitate. He had never seen such a terrifying killing intent and evil qi before. In the screen of light, the man in green clothes suddenly stopped. Not far in front of him was an old man. The old man looked at the man in green clothes and shouted angrily, "Impudent! You dare to trespass into the seven-dimensional universe, qi!" A ray of blood suddenly slashed the old man's throat, and his head flew off. The man in green clothes directly entered the seven-dimensional universe. After entering the seven-dimensional universe, countless experts of the seven-dimensional universe rushed over. The man in green clothes waved his sword. Qi, in the distant horizon, hundreds of thousands of heads flew into the sky and then fell down in an orderly manner. Blood instantly dyed the entire horizon red. At this time, the man in green clothes had already arrived in front of the barrier that led to the eight-dimensional universe. Without any superfluous words, the man in green clothes waved his sword again. Bang! The eight-dimensional universe's barrier was like a piece of paper and directly turned into nothingness. The man in green clothes raised his sword and entered the eight-dimensional universe. Without any superfluous words, he waved his sword again. Qi! Within a radius of tens of millions of miles, countless heads flew into the sky. Blood was like a fountain, and the entire horizon was directly dyed red. It was like a huge bloody cloth. This sword had killed at least hundreds of thousands of super experts. All of them were experts of the Undying Emperor clan. The man in green clothes took a step forward. With this step, he directly arrived in front of the nine-dimensional universe's barrier. Without any superfluous words, the man in green clothes waved his sword again. Bang! The terrifying nine-dimensional universe's barrier directly turned into nothingness. It was as weak as a piece of paper. The man in green clothes stepped into the nine-dimensional universe. At this time, in the horizon above his head, a mysterious force suddenly appeared. The nine-dimensional Tendo. This was because the man in green clothes' evil energy and killing intent were eroding the nine-dimensional universe's source. Even the Undying Emperor clan did not dare to easily destroy the nine-dimensional universe's source. But now, there was actually someone eroding the nine-dimensional universe's source. How could the Tendo tolerate this? A powerful pressure constantly pressed down on the surroundings. At this time, the man in green clothes raised his head and looked. Scram! In the starry sky, a shadow quietly condensed. But the next moment, the shadow directly disappeared without a trace. The powerful pressure and aura in the horizon retreated like the tide, as if it had never appeared. He confirmed that this was someone that he could not afford to offend. The Tendo came quickly and disappeared just as quickly. The man in green clothes took a step forward. With this step, he directly arrived in the Undying Realm. Just as he arrived in the Undying Realm, an old man suddenly appeared in front of the man in green clothes. The old man looked at the man in green clothes, cupped his fists, and said in a deep voice, "Yang." Just as he said this word, the old man's head directly flew. His soul was obliterated. The man in green clothes held his sword in hand as he walked towards the distance. His eyes were scarlet red, and his expression was quite ferocious. "How dare you touch my sons? Who gave you the Undying Emperor clan the courage to do that? How presumptuous! How dare you run wild in my Undying Realm?" Suddenly, a furious shout resounded from afar. In the next moment, an old man appeared in front of the man in green clothes. However, he'd only just arrived before the man in green clothes when a sword stabbed into the center of the man's forehead. The old man's eyes opened wide, and they were filled with disbelief. "I actually didn't have the ability to fight back at all?" He was instantly killed by a single sword strike. No matter how terrifying the Undying bloodline was, it was useless. All the experts of the Undying Emperor clan were shocked. "Who's that man?" That was the question in the minds of countless experts of the Undying Emperor clan. Suddenly, a white-haired old man appeared here. It was the patriarch of the Undying Emperor clan, Dong Liao. Dong Liao gazed at Yi Xian and was about to speak when the man in green clothes suddenly appeared in front of him. Dong Liao's expression changed drastically, and he swiftly smashed his fist forward. A fist mark flashed out from his fist, and it was burning with raging flames. The energy of the Undying bloodline. The man in green clothes stabbed his sword forward, and it pierced through the image of the fist. A moment later, his sword instantly arrived at the center of Dong Liao's forehead. The surroundings fell deathly silent to the point a falling needle could be heard. The formidable patriarch of the Undying Emperor clan lost just like that? He didn't even have the ability to fight back. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and terror. Suddenly, a woman shouted, "Yang Yi!" It was none other than the mysterious woman, Yi Xian's mother. She gazed at the man in green clothes and spoke with a trembling voice, "He's my father." The man in green clothes suddenly turned around and roared furiously, "When a man kills a woman, shut up." As he spoke, he suddenly slashed his sword down. Hiss! Dong Liao's body was instantly slashed into two, and blood and internal organs sprayed all over the ground. P.S. The poem at the beginning was written by a reader, and the reader's name is user 129446288. I'm ashamed. Even though I like ancient poems as well, my poems aren't serious at all. I'm ashamed. This reader can add me and get a physical book because it's really well written. However, I didn't read it in vertical and horizontal, so I don't know if you'll be able to find me. That'll depend on the will of the heavens. In the end, there's only a single chapter today. Why? Because I've noticed that I haven't even finished a single chapter. I want to give it a try. I admit that I drank a bit of beer just now, and it's getting to my head. I'm getting a little carried away. However, I'm going to get carried away today. Don't be a coward, just fight. In any case, you don't know where I live. Chapter 1564. At this moment, the entire Undying world was deathly silent. The invincible patriarch of the Undying world had been killed by the green-clothed man just like that. He'd been killed with a single strike. Moreover, he hadn't even been able to say a single word before he'd died. The patriarch of the Undying Imperial clan had died the most aggrieved death in history. As for the mysterious woman, her mind had gone blank as well. She hated her father as well, but it wasn't to the point where she wanted him dead. However, the green-clothed man didn't stop there. He turned around and looked towards the right. There were a few dozen elders of the undying imperial clan there. All of them were peak-stage experts. However, as soon as the green-clothed man swung his sword, the heads of those elders flew into the air. All of them had been instantly killed. They didn't even have the ability to fight back. At this moment, the experts of the undying imperial clan felt despair. At this moment, they finally understood that numbers were meaningless before the green-clothed man. Suddenly, a voice resounded from the depths of the undying world. "Ancestor summon! Ancestor summon!" As soon as these words were spoken, all the experts of the undying imperial clan roared furiously in unison. He was their last hope. The ancestor of the undying imperial clan. The first person to possess the undying bloodline. Everyone watched with anticipation as an old man appeared in the sky above the undying world. The old man wore a black robe, and all the experts of the undying imperial clan couldn't help but kneel down and kowtow to him. Bloodline suppression. It was a suppression that came from the depths of their bloodline. Even though they were blessed by nature by cultivating the undying bloodline, it had a fatal flaw, and it was that they would be suppressed by their ancestral bloodline. The old man gazed at the green-clothed man, and his gaze gradually became solemn. Danger. That was what he felt. The old man was just about to speak when the green-clothed man stabbed his sword forward. The old man's pupils constricted, and he smashed his fist forward. It was a very simple strike. A very simple punch. Hiss. Under everyone's watchful eyes, a sword pierced through the old man's hand and pierced through his throat along his hand. Instant kill. It was an instant kill. At this moment, all the experts of the undying world felt despair. Even their ancestor had been instantly killed. How the hell were they supposed to continue fighting? At this moment, Dongli Jing's eyes were filled with bewilderment. Was the undying imperial clan going to disappear just like that? At this moment, the green-clothed man turned to look at Dongli Jing. Dongli Jing's expression instantly changed, and she stared fixedly at the green-clothed man while clenching her fists tightly. There was no fear in her eyes. There were no cowards in the undying emperor clan. Even if the entire clan were to die, they would never surrender. Just as the green-robed man was about to make his move, the mysterious woman suddenly stood in front of Dongli Jing. She looked at the green-robed man with pleading eyes. "Let them go. Can I?" The green-robed man held the sword in his right hand, and his eyes were like a sea of blood. At this moment, a voice floated over from the side. "Forget it." Not far behind the azure-robed man stood a woman. She wore a long green dress and looked demure and elegant. Hearing the woman's words, the green-clothed man's hostility and killing intent gradually disappeared. After a long time, he returned to normal. The green-robed man turned around and held the woman's hand. He said softly, "Qingshi said forget it, so let's forget it." After saying that, he pulled the woman and walked towards the sky. The woman glanced at the corpses on the ground and spoke softly, "Don't kill so much in the future." The green-clothed man hurriedly nodded. "Yes, yes." The woman said again, "Don't lose your temper so easily. They are all afraid of you." The green-clothed man nodded and said softly, "All right, I will do my best not to lose my temper in the future." The woman glanced at the green-clothed man. "Are you sure?" The green-clothed man said seriously, "I promise." The woman nodded slightly. She held the green-clothed man's hand, and soon, the two of them disappeared into the horizon. In front of the cliff, the scene stopped as the green-clothed man and woman left. Yi Xian was silent. No one knew what he was thinking. Dongli Jing said softly, "After that battle, our undying emperor clan's vitality was greatly damaged. Fortunately, we don't have any natural enemies, so we were able to develop. As she spoke, she looked at Yi Xian. Now that you are the young master of the Undying Emperor clan, you will deal with this grudge in the future. Yi Xian smiled bitterly. Deal with it himself? How was he going to deal with it himself? It seemed like he couldn't defeat this man. Should he call Qing and Big Brother to beat the green-clothed man up? That was a good idea. At this time, Dongli Jing said again, you have reached the mortal realm. If you want to improve, you can only go beyond the mortal realm. Yi Xian suddenly said, I want to improve my physical body. Dongli Jing said, I almost forgot about that. Your physical body was really good before. Is there anything you need? Yi Xian said in a deep voice, I already have a cultivation technique, but I don't know if the Undying Emperor clan has better ones. Dongli Jing said, Dao body? Yi Xian was surprised. Clan leader, you know about Dao body? Dongli Jing smiled slightly. The owner of the Dao scripture was a very amazing person. He had gone through the 7th and 8th dimensions, and he went all the way up. However, when he was about to enter the 9th dimension, I stopped him. Yi Xian quickly asked, he didn't go to the 9th dimension in the end? Dongli Jing said, I invited him to the 9th dimension as a guest, but he refused. The reason he entered the 9th dimension was because he was curious about it. Later, it was said that he went to the faraway demon domain. Yi Xian was a little curious. Demon domain? Dongli Jing nodded. A very, very far place from here, even further than the heaven domain. To reach the demon domain, even if I tear the star domain apart, I'm afraid it will take at least 1,000,000 years. However, whether it is the heaven domain or the demon domain, to be safe, the Undying Emperor clan has long sent people to investigate this demon domain. I can only say that it is not a simple place. Yi Xian said in a deep voice, what about the heaven domain star domain? Dongli Jing said softly, the heaven domain star domain has hundreds of continents. There are many sects and dynasties there. The strongest dynasty is called the Great Qing dynasty, which controls more than 100 continents. Apart from the Great Qing dynasty, there is also a very strong sect called the God sect, which also controls more than 100 dynasties. Here, she paused and said, this time, the Great Qing dynasty was sent here by the Cosmos God Court. Obviously, the heaven domain is under the control of the Cosmos God Court. Yi Xian said in a deep voice, do we know much about the Cosmos God Court? Dongli Jing shook her head, we know almost nothing about the Cosmos God Court. We only know that it is a very, very mysterious force. We have not had any dealings with them before, but this time, we have come into contact with them. This Cosmos God Court is more mysterious and powerful than we thought. Yi Xian closed his eyes slowly. He was actually very worried about Xiao Er. Xiao Er defied the calamity law for him, she should be in the boundless God prison now. However, he did not know where the boundless God prison was. Thinking of this, Yi Xian said hurriedly, clan leader, please help me find a place, the boundless God prison. Dongli Jing nodded, I will send people to look for it immediately. Saying this, she looked at Yi Xian, you cultivate first, I will go settle some things. If you need anything, just tell 7 Star. She will follow you now. Saying this, she disappeared on the spot, and 7 Star appeared in front of Yi Xian. 7 Star held the hilt of the saber at his waist in silence. Yi Xian looked at 7 Star, hesitated for a moment, and then asked, how many members of the immortal Imperial Army are left? 7 Star remained expressionless, only 2. One is me, and the other is the commander. She was only a vice-commander. Yi Xian fell silent for a moment, and then he said, I want to rebuild the immortal Imperial Army. 7 Star looked at Yi Xian, the clan is already selecting people, but it won't be possible to rebuild it in a short period of time. Yi Xian fell silent for a very long time, and then he said, I will avenge those who died. 7-Star gazed at Yi Xian for a short while, and then she said, if you still apologize, then I will look down on you and resign from my position as vice commander. Because what I need isn't an apology, nor do I need your guilt. What I need is you to avenge those who died. She slowly knelt down on one knee as she spoke. 7-Star, I'm willing to be loyal to the young master. Young master. The way she addressed him as young master represented that she'd truly submitted to Yi Xian. Yi Xian spoke softly, stand up. 7-Star stood up. Her eyes were filled with tears, but she was forcefully holding them back. Over 100 members of the immortal Imperial Army were her brothers. Brothers who'd gone through life and death with her countless times. However, all of them had died in battle against the enforcers of the Cosmos Court. Actually, she'd wanted to die in battle against the Darksing dynasty as well, but the Divine Word Master had taken all of them away. And the reason why she was still alive was because she wanted to take revenge. Yi Xian suddenly said, their families. 7-Star said, everything has been arranged. Yi Xian nodded, good. As soon as he finished speaking, he sat down cross-legged and opened his palm, and Xiao Ta appeared in it. Yi Xian said, I want that little girl's blood. A white jade bottle suddenly landed in front of Yi Xian. Xiao Ta suddenly said, young master, you mustn't devour Arya's blood like that. Her blood is extremely powerful. If you devour it by force, your body and soul won't be able to withstand it. Yi Xian frowned, then what should I do? Xiao Ta said, that's easy. I still have the blood of other demonic beasts. You can use the blood of those low-level demonic beasts to cultivate first. Yi Xian thought about it and nodded, all right. At this moment, over a dozen white jade bottles landed in front of Yi Xian. Yi Xian took a look. Those white jade bottles all contained blood essence, and the energy of this blood essence was very powerful. Yi Xian was a little shocked. Xiao Ta, where did you get the blood of these demonic beasts? Xiao Ta chuckled, they gave it to me as a show of filial respect. Yi Xian frowned, filial respect? Why? Xiao Ta said, they are all raised by Little Bai in my tower. If they want to live a comfortable life here, how can they not please me? Moreover, my relationship with Little Bai is very, very good. If they please me, there will be a lot of benefits. Yi Xian was about to speak, but at this moment, he seemed to have thought of something and suddenly asked, Xiao Ta, you said that little guy raised a group of demonic beasts in your tower? Xiao Ta said, yes. Yi Xian asked, are they still in the tower? Xiao Ta said, yes. But they are all sleeping. Their sleep is cultivation. Yi Xian suddenly slapped his thigh and said excitedly, sleep my A**s. Ask them to wake up. Xiao Ta. Chapter 1565. Needless to say, Yi Xian is a bit excited because he didn't expect that this Xiao Ta actually has so many demon beasts living in it. How can the demon beasts that the white little guy raises be ordinary demon beasts? They definitely aren't ordinary demon beasts. And what does he lack the most right now? It's humans. Of course, demon beasts can do it too. However, Xiao Ta is a bit hesitant. Yi Xian asks, is there a problem? Xiao Ta says, these demon beasts don't have a good temper. Yi Xian says seriously, are you kidding me? With you here, do you think they would dare to lose their temper? Hearing this, Xiao Ta is excited, young master is right. With me here, whoever dares to not listen to orders, I will immediately chase them out. Yi Xian hurriedly flatters, Xiao Ta is invincible. Invincible. After Xiao Ta hears this, it is as if it is injected with chicken blood. It suddenly trembles violently and then roars, stop sleeping. All of you, wake up. Yi Xian, at this time, a black pig suddenly appears not far away from Yi Xian. The pig isn't big, it is just a piglet, but it is really fat, its belly is almost touching the ground. Seeing this pig, Yi Xian's expression stiffens. At this time, Xiaota suddenly says, "Young master, this is a little pig." Yi Xian falls into silence, his previous excitement has already been swept away. At this time, the little pig opens its eyes, it hums, it seems a bit unhappy that Xiaota disturbed its sleep. Xiaota floats in front of the little pig, show the young master your skills. The little pig glances at Yi Xian in the distance, then it directly ignores him and continues to sleep on the ground. Yi Xian looks at Xiaota is furious, "Get up for me." Xiaota shuddered. He looked at Xiaota and said with dissatisfaction, "Xiaota, what are you doing?" Xiaota slammed into the pig's head. Boom! The surrounding space trembled violently, but the little pig did not move at all. Seeing this, Yi Xian's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Xiaota said angrily, "Little pig, open your pig eyes and look. This is little master." Piglet looked at Yi Xian in the distance. Very quickly, its pupils suddenly shrank. Obviously, it had discovered Yi Xian's bloodline. The piglet hesitated for a moment, then crawled in front of Yi Xian and gently rubbed against Yi Xian's feet. Obviously, this was an acknowledgement of Yi Xian's identity. Its boss was Little White, but who was Little White's boss? Boss was the green-robed man. He did not dare to offend the green-robed man's son. Yi Xian lightly rubbed the piglet's head. "Show me a move or two." He was also very curious about this piglet's strength. Because from what he saw just now, this piglet was able to take on Xiaota's attack head-on. It was definitely not simple. The piglet nudged Yi Xian's feet. Suddenly, it turned around and leaped into the sky. Boom! This collision caused the entire sky to turn pitch black. Seeing this, Yi Xian was dumbfounded. Was this a Motherf * king pig? Just now, the piglet's collision had really frightened him. Because he might not have been able to withstand that collision, at this moment, 7 stars suddenly appeared beside Yi Xian. She looked at the pitch-black sky, then looked at the piglet. The commotion is too big. Yi Xian looked around. As expected, there were already many Undying Emperor clan experts around. Yi Xian said, "All of you, retreat." As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding Undying Emperor clan experts retreated. Yi Xian looked at the piglet. He was still extremely shocked. This piglet was really quite ferocious. However, that white little fellow was even more amazing. She had actually raised a piglet to such an extent. If she was given a dragon to raise, when he thought of this, Yi Xian hurriedly looked at Xiaota. "Xiaota, there are also demonic beasts." Xiaota hesitated for a moment. Then he said, "Do you really want to see?" Yi Xian hurriedly nodded. Of course. As soon as he finished speaking, a few demonic beasts suddenly appeared before him. However, when Yi Xian saw these demonic beasts, his expression froze. These are demonic beasts? Yi Xian even suspected that he was mistaken. There was a large rooster in front of him. It looked extremely majestic. In terms of chickens, it could be said to be a fighting chicken among fighting chickens. Of course, it was a chicken. Other than the chicken, there was also a little puppy. It was extremely small. Its entire body was snow white, and its ears were drooping. It had to be said that it was truly very cute. Of course, it was a dog. Beside the little puppy was a sheep. The sheep was also not very big. It was very small. It had 2 horns on its head. It was truly very cute. Of course, it really was a sheep. Beside the sheep was a monkey. Moreover, it was a monkey that had been dressed up. Because the monkey was wearing garish clothes. He did not recognize those clothes. He had only seen one person wear those clothes. That little girl with horns on her head. It was worth mentioning that the monkey was also looking at him. The monkey's eyes were filled with curiosity. Looking at the group before him, Yi Xian fell silent. What kind of monsters did that white little fellow raise? He knew that these fellows were all very powerful. However, to bring this group of fellows out to fight, it was truly a bit unsightly. 7 Star's expression was also rather strange. This group of... She was also speechless. At this moment, Xiaofan suddenly said, "Young lord, don't underestimate them. They grew up eating Little White's purple aura. Moreover, other than the purple aura, there are all kinds of natural treasures and elixirs. Most importantly, they have Arya's blood in their bodies. Arya has also fed them. They are really very cute. Oh, no, they are very fierce." At this moment, 7 Star suddenly said, "Let me try." As she said that, she looked at the group of demonic beasts in the distance. "Which one of you will do it?" The chicken ignored 7 Star and continued to peck at the rice. However, it had a look of disdain. It looked at Xiaofan. Obviously, it wanted to return to the tower. Xiaofan said angrily, "All of you better perform well. Don't embarrass me." At this moment, the monkey suddenly walked in front of 7 Star. It opened its right hand and a pitch-black iron rod appeared in its hand. The next moment, it suddenly swept out with the rod. Boom! 7 Star drew his sword and slashed. Boom! A wave of saber light erupted, and 7 Star was directly blasted back by over 1 kilometer. The monkey was blasted back as well. However, in the next moment, it suddenly leaped up and suddenly smashed its rod down at 7 Star. 7 Star's expression was calm as she slashed up diagonally. Head on. Bang! The rod smashed down, and 7 Star retreated explosively again. On the other hand, the monkey suddenly vanished on the spot. In the next moment, numerous afterimages appeared around 7 Star, and the sound of space being torn apart resounded incessantly. As he watched the battle between 7 Star and the monkey, Yi Xian's expression became solemn. He noticed that the monkey's combat instinct was extremely terrifying. It wasn't inferior to 7 Star, who had experienced countless battles. Meanwhile, Xiaofan suddenly said, "Young lord, this monkey is fierce, right?" Yi Xian nodded. "Very." Xiaofan smiled and said, "This monkey is frequently trained by Arya." No, it should be said that it is frequently beaten by Arya. Besides Xiaonyo, its fighting ability is the most ferocious. Xiaonyo. Yi Xian glanced at the surroundings, and then he said, "There's no Xiaonyo." Xiaofan said, "Xiaonyo and big brother Qiongqi are in closed-door cultivation to break through, and they're unable to come out for now." Yi Xian hurriedly asked, "Xiaonyo and Qiongqi? Are they even more formidable?" Xiaofan smiled and said, "Of course. Especially big brother Qiongqi. He's extremely good at fighting. Xiaonyo is formidable as well, and there's also Little Wolf. They were by big sister Arya's side all those years ago, and they're extremely ferocious. Especially when they have big sister Arya's blood within them. Besides big sister Arya, no other demon beast's bloodline can suppress them." Yi Xian was just about to speak when the monkey and 7 Star stopped. 7 Star glanced at the monkey, and then he said, "They're very strong." The monkey's strongest point wasn't its combat instinct, but its physical body. It was too hard. Even a few of her strikes earlier weren't able to break through its defenses. The monkey returned to Yi Xian's side with his rod in hand, and then he bowed respectfully to Yi Xian. "Young master. I'm Big Monkey. If young master has any instructions, then Big Monkey is willing to go through water and tread on fire." Yi Xian was slightly stunned. This fellow really knows how to get things done. Meanwhile, Xiaota suddenly said, this fellow is extremely intelligent, and he's especially good at flattery. Little White and Arya really like him. Flattery. Yi Xian roared with laughter, and then he asked Big Monkey and the other demon beasts to return to the World Prison Pagoda. This group of demon beasts were extremely strong, and they were of great help to him right now. Yi Xian sat down cross-legged. Xiaota, give me the demon beast blood. Xiaota hurriedly said, all right. As he spoke, numerous white jade bottles appeared before Yi Xian. Yi Xian withdrew a white jade bottle and consumed it. Bang! Within Yi Xian's body, a wave of pure energy swept out like flames. Yi Xian hurriedly circulated his Tao body mantra, and started to absorb the energy. Cultivating Tao body. Because he had cultivated Tao body before, it was too easy for him to cultivate now. Soon, Yi Xian's body started to change. On a certain mountain peak, there were 4 women standing there. Mu Nianyan and 2, Higashiki and the mysterious woman. Higashiki looked at Mu Nianyan and 2 ladies, we need your help. These 2 women were extremely strong. With them around, the Undying Emperor clan would have a higher chance of winning against the Cosmos Court. Mu Nianyan nodded, the 2 of us will stay here. Higashiki nodded, many thanks. The mysterious woman suddenly said, is there any movement from the Cosmos Court? Higashiki said solemnly, there's a huge movement. They're tens of starfields away from us, and we can't get close for now. However, we can sense that there are more and more experts there. Obviously, the Cosmos Court doesn't intend to give up. Mu Nianyan said, they're calling for reinforcements. Higashiki nodded. 2 asked, can we stop them? Higashiki shook his head, it's very difficult. That God Word Master's strength is too mysterious. Moreover, there seems to be a mysterious expert by his side. He should be a protector of the laws of the universe. Nian Nian looked at 2, we don't have enough people. Higashiki said, I've already ordered all the experts of the Undying Emperor clan to rush back to the Undying world. At this point, she hesitated for a moment, and then said, can you contact that green-clothed man? 2 shook his head. Higashiki said softly, looks like we'll have to fight a tough battle. With that, she turned and left. Very soon, orders were sent out from the Undying Emperor clan, and all the experts of the Undying Emperor clan rushed back to the Undying world. P.S. Recharge the book coins and monthly tickets, and explode in advance tomorrow. Also, don't call me Sister Bastard. I'll get angry. Chapter 1566. At this moment, countless experts had gathered in a certain part of the starry sky. The person in the lead was the Divine Word Master. With the divine order, he could mobilize all the experts in the heaven domain. To the right of the Divine Word Master was the Dark Hall's Hall Master. 120 people had gathered behind the Dark Hall's Hall Master. All 120 of them wore black clothes, held blood-red sickles, and emanated a ghastly aura. On the left of the Divine Word Master was a group of Divine Word Masters in white robes, and there were a total of 68 of them. Behind this group of divine preachers were more than 100 heavenly preachers. At this moment, these Divine Word Masters and Divine Word Masters were setting up teleportation arrays. There were a few dozen teleportation arrays in the starry sky behind them, and experts were streaming out from them in an endless stream. Meanwhile, a middle-aged man in armor suddenly walked out from one of the teleportation arrays. The nearby Han Dao's expression changed drastically when he saw the armored man. He immediately led the experts behind him over to the middle-aged man and knelt on one knee. General Mu. Marshal Mu Tian. The god of war of the Darksing dynasty. He controlled almost 2/3 of the Darksing dynasty's army, and he was a godlike existence in the Darksing dynasty's army. Practically all the experts of the Darksing dynasty knelt down one after another. All the experts felt heartfelt respect for this god of war. Because all those years ago, it was this god of war who'd appeared out of nowhere and stopped the divine sex attack, protecting the Darksing dynasty. Mu Tian glanced at Han Dao. "Stand up." Han Dao hurriedly stood up, and then he respectfully moved to the side. Mu Tian walked directly to the divine word master, and the latter nodded slightly. "General Mu. I never expected that you would come." General Mu had retired behind the scenes many years ago, and the divine word master hadn't expected that General Mu would be able to come this time. Mu Tian looked the divine word master in the eye. "Divine word master, there's an ancient saying that a teacher must have a good reason. May I know why the Bloodshed God Palace has launched a large-scale attack on the 9th dimension?" The divine word master replied, "The person of adversity." Mu Tian turned around and looked in the direction of the 9th dimension, and he said softly, "Divine word master, can I speak freely?" The divine word master pondered for a moment, and then he waved his right hand lightly. A mysterious barrier appeared around him and Mu Tian. Inside the enchantment was a world of its own. The people outside couldn't hear what they said at all. Mu Tendo, in the previous battle, the universe enforcers were almost completely wiped out, and my Dexing dynasty also lost tens of thousands of soldiers. The divine word master said, "We have underestimated the undying imperial clan." Mu Tian shook his head. "That's just one of the reasons. The other reason is that you don't understand the enemy. I don't understand the person of disaster, and I don't understand the undying emperor clan." The divine oracle nodded. "Marshal Mu is right." Mu Tian asked again, "What does divine oracle plan to do next?" God Word's master said, "Attack the 9 dimensions. Exterminate the undying imperial clan." Mu Tian shook his head. "No." The divine word master hesitated for a moment before he said, "Commander Mu, feel free to speak your mind if you have any thoughts." He also knew that in terms of war, he was far inferior to Marshal Mu. Mu Tian looked towards the direction of the 9 dimensions. "Before coming, I sent people to investigate the undying imperial clan and that youth, Yi Xian. I have 2 concerns. The first is the person behind Yi Xian. According to the information, there are some mysterious powerhouses behind him. As for the origins of these mysterious powerhouses, I have no idea what they are. As for the origins of these mysterious experts, we have no idea. Secondly, this person is a person of disaster, yet he is still alive. There must be someone helping him block the power of the misfortune law. Someone who can block the power of the misfortune law is definitely not someone we can fight against. If such a person appears, then no matter how many people we have, it will be meaningless." Clearly, he was worried that an extremely terrifying expert would appear. If such an expert appeared, then the army would be meaningless. At this moment, the divine oracle suddenly said, "Commander Mu, don't worry. My Cosmos God Court will deal with the peak experts." Mu Shui glanced at the divine oracle and asked, "Are you sure?" The divine oracle said, "As long as that green-robed man and that woman don't appear, my Cosmos God Court is confident in dealing with all experts." Mu Shui asked, "What if those 2 appear?" The divine oracle shook his head, "Those 2 have already been lured away by the universal laws. They can't appear here." Universal laws. After a moment of silence, Mu Shui said, "We can't attack the 9 dimensions." The divine oracle looked at Mu Shui, "Why?" Mu Shui said softly, "If we attack the 9 dimensions, we will suffer heavy losses. Because this is not our territory. The undying imperial clan has operated here for over 1,000,000 years. Conservatively speaking, there are over 1,000,000 defensive formations in the 9 dimensions. If we attack the 9 dimensions, we will suffer heavy losses. Therefore, we must lure them out and make them take the initiative to attack us. As he spoke, he looked around. Divine Oracle, you can let the Divine Oracles set up the formations now. The Divine Oracle was confused. Why does Commander Mu think that they will attack us? Mu Shuai said calmly, the Undying Imperial Clan is fighting us because of that Yi Xian. Yi Xian's greatest weakness is that he values relationships. According to what I know, he cares a lot about the 5 dimensions. Therefore, we don't need to attack the 9 dimensions. As long as we reveal that we are going to attack the 5 dimensions, Yi Xian will not be able to sit still. And if he can't sit still, the Undying Imperial Clan won't be able to sit still. At that time, they will panic, and we will be able to take the initiative. The Divine Oracle was silent for a moment, then said softly, admirable. Mu Shuai said, this time, I have brought 200,000 elites from the Great Han Dynasty. They are all peak experts. Regardless of the outcome of this battle, the Great Han Dynasty's strength will be damaged. That divine sect, the Divine Oracle suddenly said, divine sect's experts have also arrived. Their sect master is personally leading them. They will arrive in an hour at most. Moreover, after this battle, the heaven region will be peaceful for 100 years. There will not be any battles within 100 years. Mu Shuai asked, how many experts have come from Divine Sect? The Divine Oracle said, all the peak experts have arrived. Mu Shuai said in a low voice, they want to take over these worlds after this battle. The Divine Word Master nodded. As he spoke, he turned his head and looked towards a certain direction. A man suddenly walked out from the teleportation array. He wore golden armor and a golden helmet, and he held a sheathed long blade in his hand. Seeing this man, Mu Shuai frowned. Golden Imperial Guards. This Golden Imperial Guards was the Great Han Dynasty's Emperor's personal army. They could be said to be the Great Han Dynasty's most elite army. They only obeyed the Great Han Dynasty's Emperor. Mu Tian did not expect that the Great Han Dynasty's Emperor would actually send his own personal army. This was staking it all on one throw. Clearly, this time, the Great Han Dynasty had not only come to help the Cosmos God Court, but also to divide the Undying Imperial Clan's occupied worlds. To divide the Undying Imperial Clan. At this moment, the golden armored man walked in front of Mu Shuai and bowed deeply. Golden Imperial Guards Commander Xiang Wu greets Mu Shuai. Even though he was the Emperor's personal army, he did not dare to disrespect the God of War. Mu Shuai fell silent for a short while. Does the Emperor have any other instructions? Xiang Wu spoke in a low voice. He wants us to obey the Divine Oracle's orders and destroy the Undying Imperial Clan. At this moment, the Divine Oracle suddenly said, from this moment onwards, you will listen to Mu Shuai's orders. Xiang Wu bowed slightly, yes. The Divine Oracle gazed at Mu Shuai. Mu Shuai, from this moment onwards, you will be the commander of this place. We will listen to you on how we fight this battle. He knew that this was a huge battle, and such a battle required a capable commander. He wasn't skilled in such battles, but Mu Shuai was. Mu Shuai fell silent for a short while, and then he looked towards the distance. Divine Oracle, have your men set up the formation immediately. The Divine Oracle waved his right hand, and the Divine Oracle Masters behind him left silently. It didn't take long for countless fluctuations of energy to appear in the starry sky. Mu Shuai continued, Xiang Wu, hide with the Golden Imperial Guards. Don't show yourself or attack without my orders. Xiang Wu cupped his fists, yes. Mu Shuai turned his head to look at the Dark Hall's Hall Master. Sire, according to what I know, the Undying Imperial Clan possesses a group of extremely powerful assassins. Your targets are those assassins. If those assassins do not show themselves, then do not attack. However, if they do show themselves, you must stop them. The Dark Hall's Master nodded slightly, understood. Mu Shuai gazed at the Divine Oracle. I'll leave the top-rate experts of the Undying Imperial Clan to Divine Oracle and the others. The Divine Oracle nodded, I understand. Mu Shuai turned to look at the surroundings, and it didn't take long for him to slowly close his eyes. Countless scenes had appeared in his mind. At this moment, all sorts of unexpected situations and the direction of the battle were in his mind. A short while later, Mu Shuai suddenly started issuing orders, and it didn't take long for the experts in the surroundings to get into action. Under Mu Shuai's command, the originally messy crowd became orderly. Meanwhile, the spatial passageway behind the Divine Oracle Master suddenly trembled violently, and then countless powerful auras surged out from it. The experts of the Divine Sect had arrived. Mu Tian didn't look at the spatial passageway, and his gaze was fixed on the nine-dimensional cosmos in the distance. His eyes were filled with worry. This time, the Great Qing dynasty had made a huge gamble. If they won, it would mean that they could devour the entire Undying Imperial Clan. At that time, the Great Qing dynasty would become even more powerful. However, if they lost, Mu Tian slowly closed his eyes. The reason why he had come here was very simple, he wanted to bring these soldiers back. He didn't want these soldiers to become tools, but the Great Qing dynasty had no choice but to obey the orders of the Cosmos God Court. The only thing he could do was to bring more people back. Undying Imperial Clan. Dongli Jing stood in a large hall, and in front of her were many spirit tablets. These were the spirit tablets of the Undying Imperial Clan's ancestors. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out from within the hall, sacrificing countless clansmen for one person, is it worth it? Dongli Jing opened her eyes, sacrificing one person in exchange for the lives of countless people, it's definitely worth it. However, I can't do it. My Undying Imperial Clan can cut off our heads, and we can bleed, but we will never kneel to live. After saying this, she turned and left with a flick of her sleeves. FPZW. Chapter 1567. At the peak of the mountain, Yi Xian sat cross-legged. At this moment, he was emitting an extremely powerful aura. Fleshly body. He had cultivated Dao physique before, and now that he had all sorts of powerful demonic beast blood and Xiao Ta's purple aura, his cultivation was extremely smooth. At this moment, his fleshly body had reached the Dao realm. Not only that, his body had once again become a sword physique. A sword physique that was immune to swords. His current sword body was not just a little stronger than before, because he was now an ordinary sword. His sword physique was improving along with his sword Dao realm. The stronger his sword Dao realm was, the stronger his sword physique was. At this moment, Yi Xian took out another vial of demonic beast blood and drank it. Boom! His body instantly felt like it was on fire. Yi Xian hurriedly started to absorb the energy of the demonic beast blood, then used Dao scripture. Gradually, his body started to tremble. While Yi Xian was cultivating, countless Undying Emperor Clan experts rushed back to the Undying realm. At the same time, the Undying Emperor Clan experts that were in seclusion all came out. Within the Undying Palace, Dongli Jing sat at the top of the palace. On her left and right were the two supreme elders, Dongli Zhua and Dongli Xing. Below them were the elders of the 10 worlds. This time, it wasn't just the elders of the 10 worlds, there were also some core elders of the Undying Emperor Clan. Even the head of the intelligence network, Nan Xing, was present. At this moment, everyone was looking at Nan Xing. Nan Xing said solemnly, "Clan leader, elders, I have received news that the Heaven Domain experts have come out in full force. All the peak experts of the Divine Sect have arrived, and the Great Qing dynasty's Great Qing Emperor has not only sent over 200,000 elite experts, he has even sent his personal golden armor army. Moreover, from what I know, both factions have a hidden army. This is their final trump card, the details are unknown. For now, we do not know if they have arrived or not. Dongli Jing said softly, "It seems like their target is not only the young master of the Undying Emperor clan, but also the entire Undying Emperor clan." Within the palace, everyone's expression was grave. This battle concerned the survival of the Undying Emperor clan. Dong Lizhua looked towards Nanxing. "Where are the experts from the Cosmos God Court?" Everyone looked towards the Southern Star. Compared to the Great Qing Empire and the God Sect, the Undying Emperor clan was more concerned about the Cosmos God Court. Nanxing said solemnly, "What we know is that the experts from the Cosmos God Court and Dark Hall are here. The people from the Dark Hall were all super assassins. They have fought with our shadow guards before, and they are extremely powerful. Moreover, they have more people, more than 120 of them. These people are like ghosts, and every one of them is at least a peak God realm expert. If we fight against them, we must be careful of them. Otherwise, our ordinary warriors won't be able to resist them." When he spoke up to hear, he paused for a moment and said, "The ones we have to be the most careful of are the masters of words. They have several dozen holy prophecy masters and several hundred heaven prophecy masters. These people are proficient in all kinds of magical techniques and are extremely terrifying. We must be extremely careful of them." Also, Marshal Mu Tian of the Great Qing dynasty had arrived. This person had commanded the army in the Great Qing dynasty for hundreds of years and had never tasted defeat. He was known as the war god. And now, all of their troops and experts are under his command. The expressions of everyone here turned gloomy when they heard this. Obviously, the Cosmos God Court really intended to fight the Undying Imperial clan to the death. Such a battle could be said to be related to the survival of the entire Undying Imperial clan. Dong Lixing suddenly said, "Do you have any information about the laws of the universe?" Nanxing shook his head, "We haven't been able to obtain any information about the laws of the universe. Moreover, we don't even know how many experts the Cosmos God Court has. Because our scouts are utterly unable to find out exactly where the Cosmos God Court is. Not to mention us, even the Great Qing dynasty of the Heaven region doesn't know where the Cosmos God Court is." The expressions of everyone here grew even more solemn when they heard Nanxing. The Cosmos God Court was much more mysterious than they'd imagined. Right at this moment, Dong Lijing suddenly said, "Where's Dong Lijian?" Dong Lijian. He was the guardian of the Undying Imperial clan, and he was the commander of all the troops. Dong Lizhua, who stood by Dong Lijing's side, said, "He's gone to see the young master." To see the young master. Dong Lijing frowned when he heard this. Forbidden Mountain. On this day, a middle-aged man arrived at the peak of Forbidden Mountain. The middle-aged man wore a loose black robe, had long hair that hung loosely on his shoulders, and held a folding fan in his hand. He seemed extremely refined. He was the guardian of the Undying Imperial clan, Dong Lijian. In terms of combat strength, he was superior to Dong Lijing. Actually, the guardians of the Undying Imperial clan were extremely strong. A white-haired man stood on Dong Lijian's left. His face was pale as a sheet, and he had his hands behind his back. He was completely devoid of any aura, and there was an image that seemed like a drop of blood on his left chest. On the other hand, there were two people standing on Dong Lijian's right. One of them wore a black robe and held a short saber in his right hand. He was the commander of the Undying Imperial Army, Dong Liao. On the other hand, there was a black-clothed man standing on Dong Liao's right. The black-clothed man wore a mask, so his appearance couldn't be seen clearly. He was the commander of the Shadow Guard. As for his name, only two people knew his name. One was Dong Lijian, and the other was Dong Lijing. It could be said that the Shadow Guards were the second most mysterious group of people in the undead Imperial clan. Seven Star's expression changed when he saw Dong Lijian and the others. He immediately walked over to Dong Lijian and bowed deeply. "Greetings, Commander." Dongli Zhan's prestige in the undying imperial clan was second only to Dongli Jing. Dongli Zhan nodded slightly, no need to be so polite. 7-star retreated to the side. Dongli Zhan looked at Yi Xian in the distance. Is he cultivating? Big Dipper nodded. Cultivate the body. Dongli Zhan looked at Yi Xian. After a moment, he said softly, Ao, what do you think? Dongli Ao asked, what aspect? Dongli Zhan smiled and said, all aspects. Dongli Ao pondered for a moment, then said, his talent is extraordinary. He entered the mortal realm at such a young age, and his way of the sword has also entered the mortal realm. Most importantly, he has 2 top-notch bloodlines in his body. There is indeed no one in our undying imperial clan's younger generation who can compare to him. Dongli Zhan asked, what if we remove the 2 bloodlines? Dongli Ao shook his head, no one in the younger generation can compare to him. He is not like those demonic geniuses who are raised in captivity and have no guts. He has killed his way up step by step. His ruthlessness does not lose to the peak demonic geniuses of our undying imperial clan at all. His killing intent is the best proof. Dongli Zhan was silent for a moment, then asked, what about his character? Dongli Ao smiled and said, this person is too loyal. In Qingcheng, for his sister, he did not hesitate to give up his life. In the 5th dimension, to save the people there, he almost fought to his death. When he spoke up to hear, he paused for a moment before he continued. He's ruthless, but he has his own bottom line and principles. He won't stop at nothing to achieve his goals. He values relationships, but he doesn't pretend to be righteous. He's especially ruthless when facing his enemies. In short, there is no one more suitable than him to be our undying imperial clan's young master. At least in the younger generation, no one can compare to him. And with his talent, it will not be long before he surpasses the older generation. Dongli Zhan looked at Dongli Ao and smiled, you value him a lot. Dongli Ao nodded, this is a person who will treat you 100 times better if you treat him well. If our undying imperial clan does not betray him, he will not betray our undying imperial clan. Moreover, he has already gradually acknowledged the undying imperial clan and has a sense of belonging to us. Dongli Zhan nodded slightly and did not say anything else. Dongli Ao asked, what are you worried about? Dongli Zhan said softly, I am not worried about anything. I simply want to see him. After all, the future of the undying imperial clan lies on him. At this time, the Shadow Guard commander suddenly said, he is that man's son. That man. The few of them fell into silence. That man almost destroyed the undying imperial clan. After a long silence, Dongli Zhan suddenly smiled and said, but he is also my cousin's son. In his body, there is the blood of our undying imperial clan. The Shadow Guard commander did not say anything. Dongli Zhan looked at the Shadow Guard commander and said, to be honest, the grievances of the older generation have nothing to do with him. Moreover, what second uncle did back then was indeed not honorable. Dongli Ao also nodded and said, let the grievances of the past dissipate with the wind. The Shadow Guard said softly, I know. It is just that I feel a little indignant. Towards him, I do not have any other thoughts. Dongli Ao smiled and said, let's not talk about the past. Let's talk about the present. From what I know, the great Qing dynasty's undefeated god of war, Mu Tian, has already arrived. As he spoke, he looked at Dongli Zhan and said, how do you plan to deal with them? Dongli Zhan took out a map. On the map, there were many starfields. This was a map of the universe drawn by the undying imperial clan. Other than the distant demon domain and heaven domain, there were records of all the other worlds and starfields. Dongli Zhan looked at it for a long time and said, if I were Mu Tian, would not lead an army to attack the 9th dimension. Because we are fighting on our own land. Moreover, there are countless formations. If they attack the 9th dimension, they will have to pay a heavy price. So, he pointed at the map. At a certain point on the map. If I were Mu Tian, I would use the 5th dimension as bait to lure the undying Imperial clan out and let us take the initiative to attack them. This way, they will be able to take the initiative. The side that takes the initiative to attack will be at a disadvantage. Dongli Ao said in a deep voice, how do you plan to deal with them? Dongli Zhan shook his head and said, this is an overt plot. We can only take the initiative to attack them unless we give up on the 5th dimension. But that little guy will definitely not agree. So. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from afar. I have a plan. Dongli Zhan and the others looked into the distance. The person who spoke was Yi Xian. At this moment, Yi Xian's fleshly body had reached the consolidation realm. Dongli Zhan looked at Yi Xian and said with a smile, you have a plan? Yi Xian nodded his head. Dongli Zhan said, tell me. Yi Xian smiled and said, who is their main target? It's me. Since it's me, as long as I appear, they will take the initiative to find me. Dongli Zhan said softly, you want to use yourself as bait? Yi Xian nodded his head. Dongli Zhan looked at Yi Xian and said, if they ignore you and directly go to the 5th dimension, you will obediently return. Yi Xian nodded his head and said, I know. However, if I go to find someone, they will definitely come to stop me. Dongli Zhan asked, who? Yi Xian smiled and said, Qing. Dongli Ao shook his head and said, it's too dangerous for you to be bait. Yi Xian smiled and said, my life is a life. Are the lives of my clansmen not a life? Hearing this, everyone's gazes fell on Yi Xian. At this moment, everyone's gazes towards Yi Xian had changed. In a certain star field, a white-haired old man stood not far from Mu Tian. This person was the divine sect master, Chen Xian. This Chen Xian was a veteran expert of the heaven region. Besides responding to the Cosmos Divine Court summon, he had another reason for coming here, and that was to eat the undying Emperor clan. Behind Chen Xian were countless super experts of the divine sect. At this moment, Mu Tian suddenly said, Sect Master Chen Xian, please lead them to the 5th dimension. Chen Xian looked at the nearby divine word master, and the latter nodded. Chen Xian was just about to lead the experts of the divine sect away when the space in front of the divine word master suddenly trembled. In the next moment, the divine word master's expression changed. Wait! Everyone looked at the divine word master, and he said in a low voice, immediately seal off all the star fields outside the 9th dimension. Do not let Yi Xian leave. Mu Tian frowned, what do you mean? The divine word master said in a low voice, Yi Xian is going to find that woman. Mu Tian looked at the divine word master, the person behind him. The divine word master nodded. Mu Tian said in a low voice, with Yi Xian's personality, he will definitely return to the 5th dimension if we head there. The divine word master shook his head, if he gets in contact with that woman, then it will be meaningless for all of you to go to the 5th dimension. Mu Tian stared at the divine word master, how strong is she? The divine word master was silent. This was because he did not know how strong that woman was, but he knew that she could defy the laws of the universe. Defying the laws of the universe, how terrifying was that? Mu Tian suddenly said, if that woman is extremely strong, then why didn't Yi Xian go look for her earlier? There is only one explanation, and that is that he cannot contact that woman. The reason why he suddenly went to look for her is to lure us into taking the initiative to attack. As long as we ignore him and send people to the 5th dimension, he will definitely turn back and take the initiative to find us. The divine word master was silent. Mu Tian suddenly roared, all divine word masters, listen to my command. Immediately set up a transfer array to the 5th dimension. After entering the fifth dimension, kill everyone regardless of age or age. Leave no one alive. His voice was like thunder, shaking the starry sky. The Divine Word Masters looked at the Divine Word Master. The Divine Word Master was somewhat hesitant, and Mu Tian angrily said, "When two armies fight, the most taboo is to be fearful. Now, let's see who is more ruthless and decisive. If we hesitate, we will lose. If we lose the opportunity, countless people will be sacrificed. I will not let my people die in vain." The Divine Word Master was about to speak, but at this time, a voice suddenly came from the side. "Listen to him. Use the fifth dimension to restrain Yi Xian, but we cannot truly slaughter the beings of the fifth dimension." The one who spoke was the protector, Ma Yi. Ma Yi softly said, "From this moment on, everyone here must listen to Marshal Mu's orders." After saying this, she glanced at the Divine Word Master. "This includes you." FPZW. Chapter 1568. Following Ma Yi's words, the Holy Masters immediately opened up a spatial passage and forcibly built a transfer array in it. They broke through the spatial barrier and reached the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension. Not far away, Mu Tian turned to look in the direction of the ninth dimension. He had already calmed down. He understood Yi Xian very well. He knew that Yi Xian would not sit and watch the fifth dimension be massacred. Yi Xian would definitely bring the ninth dimension to attack them. And here, they had already set up thousands of arrays. If the ninth dimension attacked them, they would have a huge advantage. On the other side, Yi Xian suddenly stopped. Nan Xing appeared in front of him. Nan Xing whispered a few words and Yi Xian slowly closed his eyes. The Cosmos God Court did not fall for it. Yi Xian turned to look at the end of the starry sky and frowned. This time, the enemy was not stupid at all. At this moment, Higashi Yasushi and the mysterious woman appeared beside Yi Xian. Higashi Yasushi looked at Yi Xian. "Can you contact the green-robed man or the plain-dressed woman?" Yi Xian shook his head. He could not contact the two at all. The mysterious woman suddenly said, "She is looking for the laws of the universe." Yi Xian and Higashi Yasushi looked at the mysterious woman. The mysterious woman said softly, "Her target should be the laws of the universe and the mysterious person in your body." Higashi Yasushi suddenly said, "Why doesn't she go directly to the Cosmos God Court?" The mysterious woman said solemnly, "The laws of the universe are definitely not in the Cosmos God Court. The Cosmos God Court might just be a representative of the laws of the universe. As for the Cosmos God Court, it is impossible that she does not know about it. There are only two explanations for why she did not go. First, she has more important things to do. For example, she is looking for the laws of the universe. Her ultimate goal is to kill the laws of the universe and the mysterious person in Xian Er's body. Second, she wants to leave the Cosmos God Court to Xian alone." At this point, she paused and said, "However, I feel that there are two reasons. If there is nothing more important, she will not leave. And now, the laws of the universe have not appeared. It is most likely because of her." Higashi Yasushi nodded. "Reasonable analysis. The truly terrifying thing about the Cosmos God Court were the laws of the universe. Up until now, the laws of the universe hadn't appeared, so there was only one explanation, and it was definitely related to the woman in a simple dress." At this moment, the mysterious woman suddenly said, "Our top priority now is to stop the people of the Cosmos God Court from entering the fifth dimension." Yi Xian looked at Dongli Jing. Dongli Jing said, "Before I came here, our people had already left the Undying Realm and headed for the star region where they are. At the same time, Miss Nian Nian and Tu have also rushed over. The two of them can fight against a magnificent army. Mindfulness and slaughter." Yi Xian nodded slightly. Most people were no match for the two of them if they joined forces. Higashi-Kei looked into the distance. Let's go. The final battle is about to begin. Yi Xian suddenly asked, is it worth it? Asato looked at Yi Xian, and Yi Xian said softly, for me alone, it's not a matter of whether it's worth it or not, it's a matter of dignity. Not to mention you, even if it's any of our clansmen, I won't take the initiative to hand them over to others and let them slaughter them. I hope that when you become the patriarch in the future, you will remember this. The Undying Emperor clan can't abandon a single clansman. With that, she turned and left. Yi Xian didn't speak for a long time. At this moment, the mysterious woman said softly, can we talk about our matters after this is over and if I'm still alive? Yi Xian looked at the mysterious woman. She smiled slightly, I can understand if you blame me or hate me because I'm really not a qualified mother. But I hope you can give me a chance to talk to you. Yi Xian nodded after a moment of silence, all right. The mysterious woman smiled, then it settled. Yi Xian nodded. Soon, the two of them disappeared. In a certain part of the starry sky, Mu Tian looked at the map in his hand in silence. At this moment, the starry sky in front of them suddenly trembled. Soon, the space there split open and a middle-aged man walked out. It was Dong Lijian. Mu Tian put away the map and looked at Dong Lijian. It's not worth it for so many people to die for one person. Dong Lijian smiled, did you really come here just to kill the Undying Emperor clan's young master? I'm afraid not. Mu Tian looked at Dong Lijian, then let's fight. Dong Lijian shook his head, there's no rush. Mu Tian looked at Dong Lijian, I'm not in a rush either. At this moment, the holy masters behind him suddenly stopped. The spatial passage to the fifth dimension had been opened and a transmission array had been set up. As long as they entered the transmission array, they would arrive in the fifth dimension in less than 15 minutes. Mu Tian looked at Dong Lijian, sect leader Chen Xian, send your people to the fifth dimension. Chen Xian nodded and waved his right hand. Dozens of super experts entered the spatial transmission array. Dong Lijian's expression was still calm. Mu Tian furrowed his brows when he saw this. The other side must have something to rely on. Right at this moment, numerous shrill cries suddenly resounded from the teleportation formation. The divine sect leader's face darkened because his people were all dead. Not only that, the spatial passage was directly destroyed by the two women. At this time, a black-robed man appeared beside Mu Tian and whispered something to him. Mu Tian turned to look at the divine pronouncer and said, there are two sword cultivators at the peak of the worldly realm in there. Divine Word Master's face darkened. He knew who Mu Tian was talking about. It was those two women. These two people were really not easy to deal with. That was because ordinary people were simply not a match for these two people. Divine Word Master looked at the divine sect leader Chen Xian, sect leader Chen, I'll leave these two people to sect leader Chen and your sect's supreme elder. Remember, don't fight them to the death. Just delay them. Chen Xian nodded slightly, yes. With that, he disappeared on the spot with an old man next to him. Mu Tian looked at the distant Dong Lijian. Dong Lijian faintly smiled and did not move. Right now, he wanted to delay. Because he believed in the strength of Mu Nianyan and Tuesday. If he continued to delay, sect leader Chen Xian and Dong Lijian would definitely not be their opponents. In any case, he could not make the first move. Because there were thousands of arrays in this star field. If the Undying Emperor clan attacked first, they would suffer heavy losses. In the distance, Mu Tian looked at Divine Word Master, can the two of them defeat those two women? Divine Word Master shook his head. With the strength of those two women, even he might not be able to fight one of them alone. Only the protectors could contend against those two women. As for Chen Xian and Dong Lijian, they could only delay them. Seeing Divine Word Master shake his head, Mu Tian's face darkened. If this continued, it would be disadvantageous to their side. Mu Tian suddenly looked at the distant Ma Yi. Miss Ma Yi, please go to the 5th dimension. Ma Yi looked at Mu Tian. Slaughter the star field? Mu Tian nodded, his eyes cold. Directly slaughter them so that they have no choice but to attack us. Ma Yi shook her head. The beings of the 5th dimension have not done anything wrong. They cannot be slaughtered. You can use the 5th dimension to threaten the calamity entity, but you cannot truly slaughter the 5th dimension. Mu Tian's face darkened. Miss Ma Yi, this is a life or death situation. On the battlefield, one must be unscrupulous. Ma Yi looked straight at Mu Tian. We are the protectors of the laws of the universe, and the duty of the laws is to protect the peace and order of the universe, not to slaughter living beings. The Undying Emperor clan forcefully protected the calamity entity, so they should be punished. However, the beings of the 5th dimension did not interfere in this matter, so what wrong did they do? Mu Tian's face turned ugly. Miss Ma Yi, we are currently at war. War itself is cruel, so we cannot be merciful. Ma Yi suddenly interrupted Mu Tian. Marshal Mu Tian, war is indeed cruel, but our goal is not to slaughter living beings, but to protect the beings of the universe, to maintain order in the universe. If we slaughter living beings for our goal, then what is the point of us protecting it? Mu Tian stared at Ma Yi. Then what about our people? We came all the way here, are our lives not important? Ma Yi shook her head. Marshal Mu Tian, back then when the Cosmos God Court helped the Great Qing dynasty, the Great Qing dynasty promised that they would not reject any request of the Cosmos God Court. There is a cause and effect. This is what the Great Qing dynasty owes us. Moreover, you came here for benefits, not because of the Cosmos God Court's call. You also want to borrow the power of the Cosmos God Court to destroy the Undying Emperor clan, then divide this universe. Mu Tian went silent. In the past, the Cosmos God Court had indeed helped the Great Qing dynasty. Moreover, as Ma Yi had said, the Great Qing Emperor's goal was to divide the Undying Emperor clan's territory. Ma Yi turned and looked into the distance. The Cosmos God Court started a war to protect the order of the universe, to prevent the calamity entity from continuing to live, not to slaughter living beings. Marshal Mu Tian, Yi Xian is a person with the adversity body, but the 5th dimension isn't. Hence, our Cosmos God Court will only target him and those who help him. If the 5th dimension doesn't help him, we won't massacre the 5th dimension. Mu Tian looked at Ma Yi. Then what do you think we should do? Should we take the initiative to attack? Ma Yi said, if I head to the 5th dimension, they will definitely send people to stop me. Therefore, there is no point. Now that they have left the 9th dimension, we do not need to forcefully attack the 9th dimension. Our goal has been achieved, so let's attack. Otherwise, when the two swordsmen are free, the situation will be even more disadvantageous to us. Mu Tian went silent. He still wanted to use the 5th dimension to make the Undying Emperor clan hesitate. Because if their blade fell into the 5th dimension, the Undying Emperor clan would definitely be the ones who would not be able to sit still. However, the Cosmos God Court did not allow it. How pedantic. Damned faith. Mu Tian took in a deep breath, then roared, where is the Great Qing cavalry? Here. Behind him, close to 60,000 cavalry roared in unison, their voices like thunder, shaking the starry sky. Mu Tian pointed at Dong Lijian and roared, Undying Emperor clan, hand over one person in exchange for countless lives. This is your Undying Emperor clan's last chance. Dong Lijian went silent. To the side, Ma Yi looked to Dong Lijian. If you are willing to hand over the person with the disaster body, the Undying Imperial clan can continue to exist. Dong Lijian suddenly laughed and said, come and fight. Mu Tian suddenly raised his right hand and waved it down. Cavalry, attack. Charge. Over 60,000 cavalrymen suddenly roared in unison and charged towards Dongli Zhan in the distance. The charge of the cavalry shook the starry sky. Dongli Zhan suddenly said, "Where are the undying blood cavalry?" "I'm here." Behind Dongli Zhan, a deafening roar resounded like thunder. Then, a large area of space suddenly split open, and in the next moment, more than 1,000 undead blood cavalry charged out. Dongli Zhan looked at the 60,000 cavalrymen charging over from afar. "Kill! Kill!" More than 1,000 cavalrymen raised their spears and roared. In the next moment, they all rushed out. 1,000 versus 60,000. Chapter 1569. Although the Undying Emperor clan had fewer cavalry, the momentum of 1,000 did not lose out to the 60,000. There was still a gap between the Great Qing dynasty and the Undying Emperor clan. In terms of individual combat, only the Cosmos God Court could match up to the Undying Emperor clan. 1,000 against 60,000. In the starry sky, the moment the two sides clashed, the 1,000 undying blood cavalry opened up a path of blood. However, the Great Qing dynasty's cavalry were not pushovers. They were the elites of the elites, not afraid of death. In the first clash, the Great Qing dynasty had lost hundreds of people, while the Undying Blood Cavalry had also lost over 30 people. After another clash, the two sides switched positions. Hundreds of corpses fell from the sky, accompanied by fresh blood. The Undying Blood Cavalry commander, Dong Liemo, roared, "Get ready!" Behind him, the Undying Blood Cavalry quickly got into formation. Dong Liemo pointed his spear at the distant Great Qing dynasty cavalry, "Charge!" As soon as he finished speaking, the undead blood cavalry behind him charged forward. 1,000 men charged forward, as if they wanted to crush the starry sky. In the distance, the commander of the Great Qing dynasty cavalry suddenly pointed his spear at the charging Undying Blood Cavalry and roared, "Meeting on a narrow path, the courageous win. Charge!" With that, the Great Qing dynasty cavalry behind him charged forward. Rumble, 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 rumble. In the starry sky, the two sides clashed directly, without any fancy moves. After another clash, the two sides switched positions. Hundreds of corpses fell from the sky. The Great Qing dynasty side had suffered the most casualties. More than 600 people had fallen, while the undead blood cavalry had also lost dozens of people. Below, Mu Tian's expression was calm, but his right hand was tightly clenched. This clash made him understand that the Great Qing dynasty's battle power was still inferior to the Undying Emperor clan. Mu Tian slowly closed his eyes. The Undying Emperor clan had existed for more than 1,000,000 years, and was known as the #1 clan in the universe. Compared to the Great Qing dynasty, there was still a gap. On the other side, Dong Lijian looked at the fallen Undying Blood Cavalry, his heart bleeding. These people had been carefully nurtured by the Undying Emperor clan. Each of them had been nurtured for at least hundreds, or even thousands of years. At this time, the East Pavilion in the sky suddenly roared, "Get ready!" Behind him, there were less than 900 Undying Blood Cavalrymen left. Dongli Ting pointed his spear and roared, "Charge!" 900 people suddenly shot out like arrows released from a bow. On the other side, the cavalry commander of the Great Qing dynasty suddenly pointed his spear and bellowed, "Kill!" As soon as he finished speaking, the tens of thousands of cavalrymen behind him charged forward. The cavalry of both sides clashed, and the starry sky was torn apart by their stomps. At this moment, Dong Lijian suddenly said, "Dao soldier." As soon as he finished speaking, the space behind him suddenly split open, and tens of thousands of people walked out. Undying Dao soldier. A total of 40,000 people. All of the Undying Imperial clan's Dao soldiers were here. The leader was the commander of the Tao soldiers, Dong Li Ting. Dongli Zhan looked at the 200,000 elite soldiers behind Mu Tian. Devour them. Kill. 40,000 people roared in unison. In the next moment, 40,000 people charged into the sky. 40,000 versus 200,000. They didn't have an advantage in numbers, but their momentum was unstoppable. Obviously, this was going to be a decisive battle. Mu Tian's expression was calm. Infantry, step out. Behind him, 200,000 soldiers walked out in unison, their steps orderly. Mu Tian was expressionless. Kill. 200,000 soldiers charged forward. At this moment, the surrounding space suddenly trembled. In the next moment, countless experts charged out. They were all experts from the Undying clan. There were hundreds of thousands of them. These were all experts from the Undying Imperial clan from the 7th and 8th dimensions, as well as the 10 realms. The Undying Imperial clan didn't have many elites, but they had a lot of ordinary experts. After all, they controlled 3-dimensional universes and the 10 realms. Against the Cosmos God Court, these ordinary experts wouldn't be very useful. But against the soldiers of the Great Qing dynasty, these experts weren't weak at all. The sudden appearance of hundreds of thousands of experts caused Mu Tian's expression to change. The Great Qing dynasty was already inferior in terms of quality against the Undying Imperial clan. And now, they were being suppressed in terms of numbers. How could they win? Mu Tian turned to look at the Divine Word Master, who suddenly said, "Attack." Behind him, dozens of Holy Word Masters and hundreds of Heaven Word Masters started chanting incantations. In the next moment, the entire starry sky trembled violently. Soon, countless mysterious lightning bolts appeared out of nowhere in the surrounding starry sky. Not only were there lightning bolts, there were also countless wind blades and densely packed fireballs, techniques. Dozens of Holy Word Masters and Heaven Word Masters used their techniques together. How terrifying was that? In just an instant, over 10,000 Undying Imperial clan experts were killed. Seeing this, Dongli Zhan's expression sank. The strength of these Heaven Word Masters was too terrifying. Ordinary experts weren't a match for them. Dongli Zhan suddenly said, "Shadow Guards." Just as he finished speaking, over 100 shadows suddenly charged at the Holy Word Masters and Heaven Word Masters. These were the assassins that the Undying Imperial clan had meticulously nurtured. The 19 people that had been following Yi Xian were the elites of the Shadow Guards. However, before these 100 people could approach the Heaven Word Masters, they were blocked by a group of black-clothed people. Dark Hall. This group of people were also assassins. Both sides didn't waste any words and immediately started fighting. Both sides were assassins, and the fight was extremely strange. Only saber light could be seen, but not a single person could be seen. At this moment, Mu Tian suddenly said, "Divine Sect Dao soldiers." As soon as he finished speaking, thousands of Divine Sect experts charged out. Their target was none other than the Undying Blood Cavalry. Mu Tian knew that as long as they dealt with the Undying Blood Cavalry, the Great Qing dynasty's cavalry would be able to attack the Dao soldiers. Cavalry had a huge advantage against infantry. Thousands of Divine Sect Dao soldiers were the Divine Sect's elite experts. If they were allowed to join the battle between the two sides, it would be extremely disadvantageous to the Undying Blood Cavalry. Dongli Zhan suddenly said, "Feather God Guards." As soon as he finished speaking, thousands of arrows suddenly pierced through the sky and blocked the thousands of Divine Sect Dao soldiers. After blocking the Divine Sect Dao soldiers, the Feather God Guards continued to attack. Thousands of arrows suddenly shot into the sky and headed straight for the Great Qing dynasty's cavalry. The Great Qing dynasty's cavalry commander's expression changed drastically, and he immediately roared, "Outer cavalry, defend." As soon as he finished speaking, the Great Qing dynasty's cavalry suddenly took out a shield and quickly closed in. Boom 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 boom. Most of the arrows were blocked by the shield, but over 1,000 people died. At this moment, the undying blood cavalry arrived. In an instant, the formation of the great Qing dynasty's cavalry was broken. Over 1,000 of them died, and their corpses slowly fell from the sky. Just as the feather god guards were about to attack, the divine Sekdao soldiers charged towards the feather god guards. Dongli Zhan retracted his gaze and looked to the other side. At this moment, the undying Emperor clan experts that were called over from other worlds were dying at a terrifying speed. Those Master Yen were too terrifying. A few hundred people actually killed hundreds of thousands. He had to get rid of these Master Yen. These Master Yen were the peak experts of the Cosmos God Court. Not to mention these ordinary experts, even some of the undying Emperor clan's elites weren't their match. This was a complete suppression of battle power. At this moment, Yi Xian suddenly appeared in front of Dongli Zhan. Yi Xian looked at the Master Yen, "Leave them to me." As he spoke, he walked towards the sky. Seeing this scene, Dongli Zhan's expression changed, "Clan Guardian." As he spoke, over 100 people suddenly charged out from the space behind him. These people were all young people. The geniuses of the undying clan's younger generation. All of them were at the Heavenway realm. The undying Emperor clan's nurturing of these geniuses even surpassed the fallen undying Emperor army. Because these people were the true future of the undying Emperor clan. Dongli Zhan looked at the young man leading them, Dongli Qing, "From now on, you will listen to young master's orders." The young man called Dongli Qing cupped his fists, "Understood." As he spoke, he led the 120 people behind him and followed Yi Xian. Dongli Zhan didn't stop Yi Xian because he knew that since Yi Xian dared to say that, he definitely had a way. At this moment, the eyes of Ma Yi and the rest also fell on Yi Xian. This time, her target was Yi Xian. Kill Yi Xian, the sinner of disaster. At this moment, Yi Xian suddenly opened his palm, and a box appeared in his hand. Ma Yi and the rest frowned when they saw the box. "What's that?" At this moment, a voice suddenly resounded in Ma Yi's mind, "Ma Yi, you'd better stop this guy." Ma Yi didn't hesitate and said directly, "Stop him." As soon as she finished speaking, Mu Tian suddenly said, "Gold-armored army." A group of golden-armored guards charged towards Yi Xian. There were thousands of them. These were the true elites of the Darxing dynasty. Dongli Qing was about to attack when he saw them charging towards him, but Yi Xian stopped them. He waved his right hand, and a group of demon beasts appeared in front of him. A monkey, a chicken, a sheep, a pig. Yi Xian looked at the monkey, "Big monkey, go." The monkey picked up an iron rod and rushed out. It swung the rod at the enemy. Boom! Dozens of golden-armored guards were directly crushed by its staff. After it rushed into the crowd, its fighting style began to change. It used its rod to sweep people's crotches. Who could withstand that? It didn't take long for shrill cries to resound in the starry sky. When the monkey attacked, the pig rammed into the group of golden-armored guards as well. Boom! With this collision, nearly 100 golden-armored powerhouses were directly smashed into meat paste. After killing them, it immediately began to eat. While eating, it continued to smash. At the same time, the chicken and the sheep also rushed into the crowd. The way the sheep fought was the same as the pig, it would headbutt anyone it saw. This headbutt was enough to cause space itself to collapse. As for the chicken, it specialized in headbutting people's butts. Who knew who taught it to do this? The chicken's fighting style was slightly terrifying as well. It directly chopped at anyone it saw, and it specialized in chopping at the head. Once it did, it would die. The sound of people's heads breaking resounded incessantly. The demon beasts directly crushed the group of golden-armored guards. Everyone in the surroundings was stunned. What the hell are they? Meanwhile, Yi Xian took the opportunity to open the box. Chapter 1570. As soon as the box was opened, a fluffy white little fellow crawled out from within. At the instant that the white little fellow crawled out, the spirit energy in the surroundings suddenly surged uncontrollably towards her. It was an extremely strange scene. At this moment, the gazes of countless people shot towards the white little fellow, and their eyes were filled with curiosity. What's that? Meanwhile, Xiaofan suddenly appeared in front of the white little fellow, and he seemed extremely happy. White. The white little fellow rubbed her drowsy eyes. She grinned when she saw Xiaofan, and then she rubbed Xiaofan lightly before she gazed at Yi Xian. Meanwhile, Yi Xian didn't say a word and immediately took out a candied haw and passed it to the white little fellow. The white little fellow's eyes instantly lit up when she saw the candied haw, and she took it and started licking it. It was still that familiar white little fellow. The divine prophet stared fixedly at the white little fellow, the spirit patriarch. As he spoke, his expression gradually became solemn. Meanwhile, Yi Xian suddenly said, "White, help me fight, all right?" The white little fellow gazed at Yi Xian, and Yi Xian immediately withdrew another candied haw. The white little fellow's eyes narrowed as she took the candied haw, and then she nodded swiftly. Yi Xian hurriedly turned around and pointed at the group of divine prophet, "Quickly stop them." The white little fellow glanced at the divine prophet, blinked, and then waved her little claw. Bang! In an instant, the lightning, fire, and wind in the starry sky vanished without a trace. All of them had vanished. Both sides were stunned when they witnessed this scene. The divine prophets started to execute their techniques again, and it didn't take long for countless strands of formidable elemental energy to converge in the starry sky. Meanwhile, the white little fellow waved her claw again. Bang! The elemental energy vanished without a trace. The divine prophets were dumbfounded. The white little fellow licked the candied haw, and then she grinned as she gazed at the divine prophets. It seemed like she was telling them to continue. The divine prophets were about to attack, but they were stopped by the divine prophet. The divine word master looked at the little white fellow below. "Spirit ancestor, as the spirit ancestor, why are you helping the person with the adversity body?" The little white fellow licked her sugar-coated haws and pointed at Yi Xian with her little claw before pointing at herself. Obviously, she meant that Yi Xian was in cahoots with her. The divine oracle looked at the little white guy. "He is a sinner of misfortune." The little white fellow blinked and continued to lick the Tanghulu. She didn't understand what the divine word master was saying at all. What sinner of misfortune? Is it better than candied haws? The divine word master's face sank. Fuck, he discovered that he couldn't communicate with the spirit ancestor. And at this time, the Undying Emperor clan experts that were blocked by Teacher Yen had already charged towards the group of Great Qing Dynasty soldiers. With the addition of these experts, how could the Great Qing Dynasty resist? Mu Tian immediately turned to look at the divine word master in the distance. The divine word master suddenly took a step forward and gently pressed down with his right hand. This pressure caused countless bolts of lightning to gather in the starry sky. In the next instant, these bolts of lightning descended in a straight line. In an instant, a formless pressure came crashing down, as if it wanted to shatter the starry sky. Below, Yi Xian opened his palm and a sword appeared in his hand. He was prepared to attack at any time. At this moment, the little white fellow sniffed. In an instant, the divine lightning in the starry sky became illusory and gradually disappeared. Seeing this scene, Yi Xian was stunned. Gone just like that? In the starry sky, the divine oracle's expression also froze. He didn't expect that his divine lightning would disappear just like that. Below, the little white fellow licked her sugar-coated haws with a harmless look. At this time, the group of experts from the Great Qing dynasty had already been defeated. This was because the Undying Emperor clan side had already crushed the Great Qing dynasty and God sect in terms of numbers. Mu Tian looked at the divine oracle. He stared at the divine oracle with a gaze as sharp as a knife. The Cosmos God Court can no longer hold back. He knew that the Cosmos God Court was definitely holding back. The divine oracle suddenly turned to look at Ma Yi. Ma Yi understood and immediately floated towards the little white fellow below. They had to get rid of this little white fellow. Otherwise, the divine oracles would be crippled. Seeing Ma Yi floating towards him, Yi Xian suddenly pulled out his sword. Wang! A sword soared into the sky. In the sky, Ma Yi suddenly slapped down with her palm. Boom! A wave of sword light shattered. Yi Xian was directly sent back to his original position. The moment he landed, his fleshly body split apart. At this moment, the little white fellow waved its little claw and a purple aura enveloped Yi Xian. In an instant, Yi Xian's cracked fleshly body returned to normal. At this time, Ma Yi had already appeared in front of Yi Xian and the little white fellow. Just as she was about to attack, a figure suddenly appeared in front of her. Boom! The space in front of Yi Xian directly exploded. The person who attacked was the Undying Emperor clan's patriarch, Dongli Jing. Dongli Jing looked at Ma Yi and waved her sleeves, "Your opponent is me." As she finished speaking, she disappeared from her original position. In the distance, Ma Yi suddenly punched out. With this punch, everyone in the starry sky seemed to stop. Domain. This was a martial domain, and no ordinary martial domain. In the martial domain, Dongli Jing's pupils constricted. She clenched her right hand, and the undying bloodline in her body suddenly boiled. In an instant, the power of her bloodline enveloped her body. After the power of her bloodline enveloped her body, Dongli Jing directly punched out. Head on. Rumble. As a shocking explosion resounded, the two women simultaneously retreated. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Dongli Jing. The Dark Hall's Hall Master. Obviously, he wanted to kill Dongli Jing. If he could assassinate the Undying Emperor clan's clan master, the Undying Emperor clan's morale would definitely plummet. Unfortunately, as soon as he appeared in front of Dongli Jing, a black figure silently appeared behind him. The person who attacked was the Undying Emperor clan's Shadow Guard commander. He had actually been watching the Dark Hall's Hall Master all this time. After the Shadow Guard's commander appeared, the Dark Hall's Hall Master suddenly disappeared. The Shadow Guard's commander also disappeared. It was as if the two of them had never appeared. Dongli Jing looked at Lini in the distance. She slowly clenched her right hand, and the undying bloodline within her surged madly. Since she possessed the undying bloodline, so long as she wasn't instantly killed, she wasn't afraid of anyone in a battle of attrition. Suddenly, the space in the distance split open, and then two rays of light flew out. The two who came out were Mu Nianyan and Tu. In their hands were two bloody skulls. They were the heads of the divine sect master and supreme elder. The two women had killed two people. The expressions of the experts from the divine sect changed drastically when they saw this. Mu Nianyan turned to look at the linen robe not far away. She had suddenly vanished, and at this moment, the divine word master suddenly chanted an incantation. In the next instant, countless blood-red talismans appeared around Mu Nianyan. Mu Nianyan slashed down with her sword. Boom! The talisman exploded into pieces. But right at this moment, bolts of lightning struck down towards the top of her head. Mu Nianyan's expression was calm. She stomped her right foot lightly, and then she transformed into a ray of light that shot into the sky. The divine word master was about to attack. Meanwhile, Yi Xian hurriedly said, "Little fellow, help him out." The white little fellow blinked, looked at the Divine Word Master, and raised her little claw. The Divine Word Master had just started chanting when the spirit energy around him was instantly sucked dry. The Divine Word Master was stunned. What did a Divine Word Master need the most? Spirit energy and elemental energy. But at this moment, the spirit energy around him had been sucked dry. It wasn't just the spirit energy that had been sucked dry, even the elemental energy around him was gone. What's this? The Divine Word Master gazed at the white little fellow below him. The white little fellow grinned, and she seemed completely harmless. She's still smiling? The Divine Word Master was slightly stunned. Is she mocking me? Meanwhile, Mu Niannian suddenly appeared in front of him. His expression changed drastically, and he immediately flashed backwards. This single flash allowed him to move over 3 kilometers away. Hiss! Mu Niannian's sword slashed through the air. Yi Xian suddenly said, "Big Sister Nian, kill those divine words." Mu Niannian immediately turned around and charged at those divine words when he heard Yi Xian. The expressions of those divine words changed drastically, and they were about to start chanting when the white little fellow suddenly raised her claw and waved it lightly. In an instant, the spirit energy and elemental energy in an area of over 3 kilometers were completely sucked dry. All the Divine Words Masters were rendered useless. The Divine Words Masters were stunned. At this time, Mu Niannian had already arrived. In the blink of an eye, 5 holy diviners were killed. After the Divine Words Masters' techniques were rendered useless, their combat strength was simply too weak. The Divine Word Master's expression changed drastically when he witnessed this scene, and he suddenly roared furiously, "Where's the Tendo? The Tendo!" Only the Tendo could gather spirit energy once more. If the Tendo could gather spirit energy once more, then they could still fight. So, he immediately summoned the Tendo. The Cosmos Divine Court controlled the order of the entire universe, and the Tendo everywhere had to give them face. Bang! A formidable aura suddenly appeared in the starry sky. As soon as this formidable aura appeared, the entire starry sky started to tremble, and the spirit energy in the surroundings fluctuated slightly. Then, a figure gradually condensed silently. The Tendo. It was the Tendo of this starry sky. It wasn't particularly strong, but it wasn't weak either. The white little fellow glanced at the Tendo and continued to lick the candied haws, and there was a trace of greed in her eyes. The Tendo's spirit energy is even more abundant. The Divine Word Master took out the Divine Order and gazed at the Tendo. "I order you to immediately mobilize all the spirit energy here and replenish it for us." The Tendo paid no attention to the Divine Word Master, and she gazed at White instead. She fell silent for a moment before she looked at the Divine Word Master and roared furiously, "Replenish your mother's head." With that, she disappeared. He had confirmed with his eyes that he could not afford to offend this person. This was the spirit ancestor. Replenish spirit chi. Once this little guy breathed in, not to mention spiritual chi, even she, a Tendo, could absorb it all. Snatching spirit chi from the spirit ancestor? Wasn't that like entering the latrine with a lantern? At this moment, the escaping Tendo was extremely frustrated. Chapter 1571. The Tendo's sudden departure stunned the Divine Word Master. He wasn't angry, and he became even more solemn instead. There was only one explanation for the Tendo's departure. It was fear of the spirit ancestor. However, right at this moment, the little white fellow suddenly waved her claw towards the depths of the starry sky. With this wave of her claw, the Tendo in the starry sky stopped moving. In the next moment, a figure appeared above them. It was the Tendo who'd left earlier. The little white fellow had called him back again. The little white fellow gazed at the Tendo, grinned, and then pointed her claw at the Divine Word Master before suddenly clenching it. Her intentions were obvious. Hit him. The Tendo remained silent. She didn't dare to go against the spirit ancestor, but she didn't want to go against the universe court as well. The little white fellow frowned slightly when she saw the Tendo remain silent, and then she pointed her claw at the divine word master. Her intentions were extremely obvious. Kill him. The Tendo hesitated for a moment and said, "Can I not fight?" The little white fellow blinked. "He doesn't want to give me face." The little white fellow sniffed lightly, and with this sniff, the heavenly Tao was instantly scared out of its wits. This was because the origin of this starfield was directly disappearing at an extremely terrifying speed. The Tendo hurriedly said, "Hit him." "I'll hit him." As soon as she finished speaking, she turned around to look at the divine word master and said furiously, "Is there something wrong with all of you? Why did you offend the spirit ancestor for no reason?" As soon as she finished speaking, she transformed into a bolt of divine lightning that shot explosively towards the divine word master. The divine word master's face instantly darkened when he witnessed this scene. Damn it! My universe court actually doesn't have as much influence as the spirit ancestor? The divine word master didn't think too much about it and immediately started chanting. However, he just started chanting when he noticed that all the spirit energy and elemental energy in this area had been absorbed by the little white fellow. The divine word master's expression instantly changed when he noticed this, and he didn't hesitate to transform into a ray of white light that vanished on the spot. The Tendo's attack missed, so she charged towards the divine word master again. Actually, the Tendo couldn't defeat the divine word master, but now she had the little white fellow's help. With the little white fellow's help, the divine oracle master would be half crippled. On the other side, Mu Niannian had already killed off the holy diviners, leaving only a dozen or so behind. Of course, the main reason was because of the little white fellow. This little fellow was the natural nemesis of these teachers. This was because Master Yen was too reliant on the spiritual qi and elemental energy of this world. As for the spiritual qi and elemental energy, they were too dependent on the little white fellow. No, the spiritual qi and elemental energy were afraid of the little white fellow. The little white fellow hitting Teacher Yen was like a father hitting his son. You wouldn't even have the slightest bit of temper. On the other side, the Undying Emperor clan had completely suppressed the divine sect and the Great Qing dynasty. Without the advantage in numbers, the Great Han dynasty and the divine sect were truly unable to defeat the Undying Imperial clan. Of course, the main reason was that the little white fellow had crippled those Master Yans. Otherwise, those Master Yans would really be able to stop an entire army. Right at this moment, Marshal Mu Tian suddenly gazed at the divine oracle master who was still locked in battle with the Tendo and roared furiously, "Is the Cosmos Divine Court still planning to hold back until now?" He knew that the Cosmos Divine Court hadn't revealed its true strength at all. The divine oracle master glanced at the surroundings, and it didn't take long for his face to sink. The Great Han dynasty and the divine sect were utterly unable to defeat the Undying Imperial clan. This was normal. After all, they were fighting on the Undying Imperial clan's territory. Moreover, there was the seemingly harmless spirit ancestor. The spirit ancestor was more terrifying than any expert of the Undying Imperial clan. On the other hand, Ma Yi and Mu Xiaodao were busy, and they were utterly unable to stop the spirit ancestor. The divine oracle master suddenly pushed back the Tendo, and then he gazed at the little white fellow and said fiercely, "Kill the spirit ancestor. Kill the spirit ancestor." He knew that he had to deal with the spirit ancestor first if he wanted to win this battle. As soon as the divine oracle master's voice resounded, the space around Yi Xian and the others suddenly became illusory. In the next moment, a few hundred black-robed figures with blood-red sickles in their hands suddenly charged out. All of them were peak Heaven Way stage experts. As soon as they appeared, they charged at the little white fellow. At the same time, a group of mysterious experts with short axes suddenly appeared in the starry sky. There were over 1,000 of them. And all of them were peak heaven-way stage experts. After these more than 1,000 people appeared, they immediately charged towards the Undying Emperor clan's Dao soldiers in the distance. They swept through everything in their path, and no one was able to stop them. In a single charge, the Undying Imperial clan had lost a few thousand people, and most of them were Dao soldiers of the Undying Imperial clan. Even Dao soldiers couldn't stop these axe-wielding experts. On the other side, as the group of sickle-wielding experts charged at the little white fellow, Yi Xian suddenly said, "Stop them." As he spoke, he charged forward. And behind him were the geniuses and geniuses of the Undying Imperial clan. Although there were only over 100 of them, their battle strength was truly terrifying. What was worth mentioning was that all of them had the Undying bloodline. Thus, although they were outnumbered, they weren't afraid at all, because they were very difficult to kill. Down below, Dongli Zhan's expression became slightly unsightly, and his gaze was fixed on the 1,000+ experts with axes in their hands. The battle strength of these 1,000 people was too terrifying. More than 1,000 people charged forward in a tight group. They were like a sharp blade, cutting through everything in their path. The formation of the Dao soldiers was directly disrupted, and they suffered heavy losses. Dongli Zhan suddenly said, "Divine Imperial Guards." As he spoke, the space behind him suddenly split open. The next moment, hundreds of people charged out. These hundreds of people were all wearing purple battle armor, and wielding purple spears. Divine Imperial Guards. This was the strongest army of the Undying Imperial clan. They were all peak heaven-way stage experts, and the leader of the Divine Imperial Guards had even reached the mortal stage. Dongli Corridor. Their strength was ranked second in the entire Undying Imperial clan. The Divine Imperial Guards were the trump card of the Undying Imperial clan. They hadn't used them before because they wanted to defend against the Cosmos Court. And now, they had no choice but to use them. Because if they didn't use them, the Undying Imperial clan would suffer heavy losses. Dongli Corridor raised his head to look at the experts of the Cosmos Court. In the next moment, he suddenly vanished on the spot. In the starry sky, a middle-aged man who was leading the charging group of battle-axe experts suddenly chopped down with his axe. This strike collided with a spear. Boom! The middle-aged man's expression changed drastically, and then he was blasted away. Dongli Corridor appeared in front of the group of battle-axe experts. With a twist of his wrist, he swept his spear forward. Boom! This sweep directly swept the group of tomahawk powerhouses to the ground, causing them to retreat repeatedly, and with this retreat, their formation was directly disrupted. Dongli Corridor held the spear in his right hand and tossed it forward. Chi! One of the battle-axe experts didn't even have time to react before the spear pierced through his body. Dongli Corridor looked at the vigilant battle-axe experts, "Kill." As the sound of his voice faded, the Imperial God Guards charged into the sky. This group of people directly charged towards the group of battle-axe experts. Dongli Corridor was about to act, but at this moment, his eyes narrowed and he suddenly raised his head. In the next moment, an afterimage suddenly descended from the sky and stepped towards him. Dongli Corridor stabbed upwards with his spear. Boom! The entire starry sky trembled and then cracked. Dongli Corridor suddenly fell from the sky. And at this moment, where Dongli Corridor was originally standing, a middle-aged man stood. The middle-aged man had his hands behind his back and there was a tiny crack between his brows. Zhu Meng. Cosmos Court Battle Hall Master. At this moment, Dongli Corridor suddenly disappeared. Zhu Meng directly punched out. Boom! Under this punch, the starry sky in front of him turned into nothingness. However, he was forced to retreat hundreds of meters away. And the place he was standing at was Dongli Corridor again. Dongli Corridor held his spear and pointed downwards. His eyes were filled with battle intent. Zhu Meng glanced at Dongli Corridor, block them. As the sound of his voice faded, the surrounding space suddenly split apart. In the next moment, over 100 experts wielding long blades charged out. Battle Hall experts. There weren't many of them, only 120 of them. These 100 people held shields in their left hand and blades in their right. Their target was the group of Imperial Divine Guards. Zhu Meng glanced at Dongli Corridor. In the next moment, both of them disappeared. Boom! In the starry sky, a space suddenly exploded. Below, Dongli Zhan glanced at the Imperial Divine Guards. The Imperial Divine Guards were already being held back by the Battle Hall experts and the Battle Axe experts. The Imperial Divine Guards had the advantage, but it wasn't huge. Dongli Zhan retracted his gaze and looked at the God Word Master. Did the Cosmos Court still have a trump card? At this moment, the space behind the God Word Master suddenly split apart. In the next moment, a terrifying pressure suddenly surged out. Seeing this scene, Dongli Zhan's face sank. The Cosmos Court still had a trump card. Very soon, a middle-aged man riding a horse slowly walked out. The middle-aged man wore a dark golden battle armor. The armor was as smooth as a mirror and it emitted a strange light. One look and anyone could tell that it was an extraordinary item. Beneath him, the horse wasn't an ordinary horse either. It had 2 tails and a horn on its head that was as long as a sharp blade. Its body was huge, several times the size of a horse. Its entire body was pitch black and its 4 legs were covered in flames. More importantly, this horse was at the Heavenly Way realm. War Beast. A powerful demonic beast specially nurtured by the Cosmos Court. As for the middle-aged man, he was the commander of the Temple Knights, Li Daopan. He was also a mortal realm expert. The moment Li Daopan appeared, a group of cavalry followed him out. Temple Knights. The cavalry that the Cosmos Court nurtured themselves. There were more than 1,200 of them. All of them were peak Heavenly Way realm experts. Their auras were even stronger than the Imperial Divine Guards of the Undying Emperor clan. At this moment, the God Word Master suddenly said, "Kill the Spirit Ancestor first." Spirit Ancestor. The Spirit Ancestor had crippled their God Word Masters. He had to die. Actually, in the Cosmos Court, other than the protectors of the laws of the universe, the God Word Hall's strength was extremely terrifying. They weren't any weaker than the Temple Knights. However, they were restrained. They were completely restrained by the Spirit Ancestor. If not for the Spirit Ancestor, the Cosmos Court wouldn't have needed to reveal so many trump cards to destroy the Undying Emperor clan. In the starry sky, Li Daopan's gaze fell on the little white fellow. At the next moment, he pointed at her, "Kill." As his voice fell, the 1,200 people behind him swooped down from the starry sky. As they swooped down, the entire starry sky turned illusory. It was extremely terrifying. Below, the little white fellow was shocked. She blinked her eyes. She didn't understand why these people wanted to attack her. At this moment, Yi Xian suddenly roared, "They want to snatch your Tanghulu." Hearing Yi Xian's words, the God Word Master was stunned. Snatch the Tanghulu? What the hell? Below, when the little white fellow heard Yi Xian's words, she was stunned for a moment. Then, she flew into a rage. Fighting was one thing, but snatching the Tanghulu? Wasn't that a sore loser? Snatching her Tanghulu. How could she tolerate that? The little white fellow hurriedly hid the Tanghulu. Then, she took out a storage ring out of nowhere. Following that, she quickly searched through the storage ring. No one knew what she was looking for. Chapter 1572. It didn't take long for the white little fellow to flip a box over. Meanwhile, the group of Templar knights had charged up to her. The white little fellow immediately opened the box. Bang! A powerful force suddenly swept out from the box. As this force surged out, the Knights Templar were actually forced to a stop by this force. How terrifying was the strength and speed of the Templar Knights after they charged forward. Yet at this moment, they were actually forced to a stop by this force. In the starry sky, the Divine Word Master's eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared fixedly at the black box. At this moment, a black shadow slowly floated out from within the box. Gradually, the black shadow condensed into a little girl that appeared in front of the little white fellow. The little girl had 2 horns on her head and a tail. As soon as the little girl appeared, the white little fellow immediately withdrew a tanghulu and passed it to the little girl. The little girl licked it, and then she raised her head to gaze at the group of Templar knights. A trace of viciousness flashed through her eyes, and then she shot into the sky. The commander of the Templar Knights, Li Daopan, suddenly dove down from midair, and then he stabbed his spear towards the little girl. However, the little girl didn't dodge at all, and she just punched him. Bang! Everyone watched as Li Daopan was forced to a stop, and then the spear in his hand broke apart while Li Daopan was blasted flying. However, the little girl didn't move at all, and she didn't even take a single step back. The countless experts of the Cosmos God Court were shocked by this scene. What sort of strength is that? The Divine Word Master stared fixedly at the little girl. Where did she come from? Suddenly, Li Daopan said, "Charge." As soon as he finished speaking, the Templar Knights by his side immediately dove down towards the little girl. Obviously, they intended to gang up on her. A wisp of a ferocious smile appeared on the corners of the little girl's mouth when she saw the Templar Knights charging at her, and then she suddenly roared furiously. Bang! This roar caused the entire starry sky to crack apart. On the other hand, the Templar Knights stopped in unison. It wasn't them who had stopped, it was the war beasts beneath them that had stopped. All the war beasts knelt down slowly and trembled. Bloodline suppression. Seeing this scene, the Knights Templar were dumbfounded. These war beasts were carefully nurtured by the Cosmos God Court. Their bloodlines were not simple. It could be said that even some divine beasts could not suppress them with their bloodlines. Moreover, they were all at the peak of the Heavenway realm. But now, all the beasts were suppressed. The divine oracle was also dumbfounded. He stared at the little girl. Where did this little girl come from? At this time, Mu Nianyan stopped. All the Master Yen in the Hall of Yen had been killed by her. Mu Nianyan turned to look at the Divine Word Master. That Tendo didn't continue hitting the Divine Word Master. Actually, she was just beating him up symbolically. After all, she wouldn't become a mortal enemy of the Cosmos God Court. The reason why she was beating him up was to give face to the spirit ancestor. However, Mu Nianyan was not afraid of becoming enemies with the Cosmos God Court. She immediately disappeared from where she was. A wisp of sword light slashed straight at the Divine Word Master. Suddenly, Li Daopan appeared in front of the Divine Word Master. A spear appeared in his hand, and he thrust it forward. Boom! A wisp of sword light and spear light suddenly exploded. Li Daopan turned to look at the divine oracle. Don't hold back anymore. With that, he charged straight at Mu Nianyan. The divine oracle looked at the situation around him. At this moment, they were still in a stalemate. However, the situation was becoming more and more disadvantageous for them. Because of the addition of the spirit ancestor and the little girl. The little white fellow had completely wiped out the divine oracle army, while the little girl had crippled half of the Knights Templar. Could a knight without a horse still be considered a knight? Moreover, the guardians of the universe, Ma Yi and Mu Xiaodao, were being held back by Dongli Jing and Tu. It was impossible to determine the victor between the four of them in a short period of time. The divine oracle slowly closed his eyes. He knew that if he wanted to end the battle, just relying on these people wasn't enough. The most difficult to deal with were the spirit ancestor and the little girl. As long as he could get rid of these two fellows, as long as he could restrain them, he would be able to obtain victory. Because right now, the Cosmos Godly Court had an additional 1,200 Knights Templar. If these 1,200 Knights Templar were to join the battle, then they would be able to crush everything, including the Undying Emperor clan's most elite Divine Guard. After all, the Divine Guard was being held back by the experts of the War Hall and the Battle Axe experts. The biggest problem now was the Spirit Ancestor and the little girl. When he thought up to here, the Divine Oracle suddenly raised his head and looked towards the depths of the starry sky. Then he slowly closed his eyes and chanted swiftly. He wasn't chanting, and he seemed to be summoning something. The little white fellow blinked when she saw this scene. She pointed at the Divine Oracle, and then she looked at the little girl. The little girl licked her candied fruit and said, "He might be about to surrender." The little white fellow was speechless. Right at this moment, the space above the little girl suddenly split open. In the next moment, an enormous mirror floated out slowly. As soon as the mirror appeared, the boundless starry sky in the surroundings started to tremble, and then boundless stellar energy surged towards the mirror. The Divine Reflection Mirror. It was a precious treasure of the Cosmos Godly Court. In the boundless starry sky, boundless stellar energy surged towards the Divine Reflection Mirror. It wasn't just the stellar energy from this starry sky, even the stellar energy from the surrounding starry sky was surging towards it. The little girl gazed at the Divine Reflection Mirror indifferently, and she continued to lick her candied fruit. The little white fellow was licking her candied fruit as well. However, there was something wrong with her gaze when she looked at the Divine Reflection Mirror. It seemed as if she was looking at candied fruit. Right at this moment, a dazzling pillar of starlight suddenly erupted from the Divine Reflection Mirror. The pillar of starlight was over 1 kilometer long, and it descended straight down from the starry sky. Its target was the little girl and the little white fellow. The little girl placed the candied fruit in her mouth, and she slowly clenched her right fist. She was about to attack when the little white fellow suddenly stopped her and pointed at herself. She indicated that she should do it. The little girl thought for a moment, and then she nodded. The little white fellow suddenly floated up and watched as the pillar of starlight descended. She didn't show any fear at all. On the contrary, she seemed to be very excited. Actually, both she and the little girl weren't in their main bodies. They were just clones, and clones consumed energy. If she wanted to play a little longer, then she had to absorb energy. Under normal circumstances, she wouldn't take the initiative to absorb energy at will because that would destroy the balance. If she did that, then the spiritual energy of an entire universe might vanish. That would cause the deaths of many living beings. But now, she wasn't going to refuse the energy that was being offered to her. In front of everyone's eyes, the little white fellow suddenly flew up and directly entered the starlight pillar. Everyone was speechless. It didn't take long for the pillar of starlight to vanish. After that, the little white fellow appeared before everyone's eyes. At this moment, she was even more solid than before. She directly absorbed it. The Divine Word Master and the others were stunned. She'd absorbed such powerful energy just like that? The Divine Word Master seemed to have thought of something, and his expression suddenly turned unsightly. He didn't know much about the Spirit Ancestor because the Cosmos Godly Court didn't have one. But now it seemed like the Spirit Ancestor was absolutely immune to all energy. Not only was she immune to it, she could even absorb it. However, that wasn't the end of it. Meanwhile, the little white fellow raised her head to look at the mirror, and she waved her little claw. The mirror trembled slightly before it transformed into a ray of starlight that flew over to the little white fellow. The little white fellow tossed the divine reflection mirror into her spatial ring, and then she peeked at the surroundings. When she noticed that everyone was looking at her, she hesitated for a moment, and then she covered her eyes with a very embarrassed expression. Everyone was speechless. Meanwhile, the little white fellow gazed at the divine word master, raised the divine-looking mirror, and grinned as if she was thanking him. The divine word master almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The most shocking thing was that the little fellow's expression wasn't filled with ridicule at all. She was really thanking him. At this moment, the 1,200 Knights Templar seemed to have received some kind of order. They dashed toward Yi Xian directly. Yi Xian and the others were currently engaged in a fierce battle with the mysterious scythe-wielding experts. Since the Templars had suddenly joined the fray, they definitely wouldn't be able to stop them. Suddenly, Yi Xian roared angrily, "Retreat!" As he spoke, he led over 100 people to retreat behind the little girl and little white. The little girl sized up Yi Xian and was about to speak when Yi Xian took out a stick of candied hawthorn and gave it to the little girl. "Brother, here." The little girl blinked, and then said seriously, "We're all on the same side. What's the use of this?" As she spoke, she put the candied hawthorn away without batting an eyelid. Yi Xian was speechless. Meanwhile, the Templars had already charged over. Yi Xian tugged on the little girl's clothes lightly. "Can you beat them?" The little girl shook her head. Yi Xian's expression froze. The little girl suddenly put the candied hawthorn in her mouth. "Little white, I'll hold them back. Call for reinforcements." As soon as she finished speaking, she leaped up and charged forward. Boom! The little girl was like a bomb. The moment she charged forward, over 10 Templars were smashed into smithereens. Her strength was truly too terrifying. "Call for reinforcements." Yi Xian looked at the little white fella. The little white fella blinked, and then she closed her eyes slowly. She started waving her little claws. Seeing this, the God Word Master's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly roared angrily, "Hurry up and stop her. Don't let her call for reinforcements." He finally understood. None of the people this little fella called for were normal. As soon as the God Word Master's voice landed, the surrounding experts charged towards the little white fella. Yi Xian led over 100 Undying Clan demons and charged forward. He had to buy time for this little fella. He was very clear that the Undying Emperor clan's overall strength couldn't compare to the Cosmos God Court. Now, he had to borrow the strength of the little white fella and the little girl. Otherwise, the Undying Emperor clan would be in a very difficult situation. At this moment, the little white fella suddenly muttered. It wasn't human language. It was beast language. In the distance, the God Word Master's expression suddenly turned malevolent. He slowly closed his eyes and chanted some ancient incantations. Gradually, a mysterious black hole appeared behind him. It was unknown where this mysterious black hole was connected to. An extremely powerful aura slowly seeped out of it. He was also calling for reinforcements. Both sides were calling for reinforcements. Now, it was a competition of connections. P.S. Tomorrow will be even more exciting. Everyone can follow my official WeChat account, Green One Peak. There's my handsome picture. There's a poem, if you don't see the green one in your life, it's all in vain to please all the handsome men. Once you see the green one, you'll miss your whole life. People call you Guizhou's Wu Yifan. Chapter 1573. In the starry sky, the battle was getting more and more intense and bitter. The Undying Emperor clan's Undying Blood Cavalry had less than 600 men left, while their enemies, the Great Qing Dynasty's cavalry, had less than 20,000 men left. The cavalry of both sides were still charging wildly. Neither side chose to retreat, nor did they dare to retreat. A cavalry charge was all about momentum. Whoever retreated would die. Very quickly, both sides began a new round of clashes. Below, the undying Emperor clan's Dao soldiers were also fighting the Great Qing dynasty's army. This battlefield was still fine, because the undying Emperor clan not only had Dao soldiers, but also experts from the 7th and 8th dimensions, and the 10 realms. It could be said that the undying Emperor clan was already crushing the Great Qing dynasty's army. And of the 200,000 Great Qing dynasty's army, only less than 100,000 remained. On the other side, the Great Qing dynasty's golden armor guards were also being held up by Yi Xian's demonic beasts. Although the group of golden armored guards was powerful, they really couldn't do anything to these demonic beasts. Although these demonic beasts didn't look good, their strength was really indescribable. Especially their physical bodies, it was too terrifying. The most intense battle was between the undying Emperor clan's elite troops and the experts of the Cosmos God Court. The undying Emperor clan's Shadow Guards and Dark Hall's battle was the strangest. Both sides were assassins, and assassins fought assassins. Strength was not the only thing that mattered, but also the details. In the starry sky, black shadows would occasionally flash past between the two sides. Both sides had people falling, but no one knew who those people were, and no one even knew when they died. Both sides knew that they had to stop the other side. Otherwise, if one side's assassins joined the battle below, it would be a huge disaster for the other side. For example, if the Great Qing dynasty's cavalry cooperated with the Shadow Guards to fight the Great Qing dynasty's cavalry, they could easily destroy the entire Great Qing dynasty's cavalry. Assassins were all about sneak attacks, and on the battlefield, the most terrifying thing was to be sneak attacked. Thus, the assassins of both sides were doing their best to stop the other side. The most intense battle was between the undying Emperor clan's Imperial Guards and the Battle Hall's experts, as well as the Battle Axe experts. As the strongest army of the undying Emperor clan, there was naturally no need to doubt the battle prowess of the Imperial Guards. As for the experts of the Battle Hall, they were also extremely powerful. Thus, the battle between the two parties was world-shaking and the most bitter. Because the experts from both sides, even if they were missing arms and legs, were still fighting crazily, a true battle to the death. Marshal Mu Tian and Dongli Zhan didn't make a move in the starry sky. Because the armies on both sides were under the command of the two of them. Of course, Marshal Mu Tian was more anxious at this moment. This was because of the 200,000 elites of the Great Qing dynasty that he had brought with him. Now, there were less than 100,000 left. In at most an hour, his soldiers would be eaten. And he had no way of transferring people from other places to help. Originally, his only hope was the Cosmos God Court Saint Palace Regiment. As long as these Saint Palace Regiment charged downwards, he would be able to turn the tables. However, those beasts were directly suppressed by the little girl's bloodline. The Knights Templar's combat power was crippled by at least 30%. Moreover, the Knights Templar were actually held back by that little girl. Actually, the ones who were hurt the most were Teacher Yan from before. These Teacher Yans were truly terrifying. There were less than 1,000 of them, but they could stop an army of hundreds of thousands. However, he was directly crippled by the spirit ancestor. Now, Mu Tian could only place his hopes on the Divine Word Master. He hoped that the Divine Word Master would call over some more formidable experts. Otherwise, it wouldn't be long before the outcome of the battle would be decided. Right at this moment, the space behind the Divine Word Master suddenly trembled violently. In the next moment, a woman walked out from within. The woman wore a simple cotton dress, her long hair was tied up high, and she carried a sword on her back. A guardian of the universe. At the sight of this, Yi Xian, who was fighting below, suddenly paled. Another guardian of the universe, and it was a swordsman. Just a glance was enough to tell that she wasn't an ordinary swordsman. At the instant that the woman walked out, her gaze descended onto Yi Xian. In the next moment, she suddenly took a step forward, and as her foot descended, a strand of sword light flashed. Hiss! A sword had arrived above Yi Xian's head. Yi Xian didn't dodge, and he allowed the sword to enter his body. Bang! A powerful energy suddenly erupted from within his body. He absorbed it directly. Yi Xian heaved a sigh of relief in his heart after he absorbed it. Actually, he was slightly afraid. After all, this woman was clearly an ordinary sword, and he wasn't sure if he could absorb an ordinary sword. Fortunately, he could. Perhaps it was because he was at the mortal realm as well. If he hadn't attained the mortal realm, then this attack would definitely have taken his life. The woman immediately retreated into the starry sky when she saw her sword being absorbed. She gazed at Yi Xian while her beautiful brows knit together slightly, and there was a trace of bewilderment in her eyes. Meanwhile, the divine word master suddenly said, "Miss Seventh Sword, ignore the person with the adversity body. Deal with the little white fellow below first." The woman called Seventh Sword gazed at the little white fellow below. In the next moment, she vanished on the spot, and a strand of sword light slashed towards the little white fellow. Yi Xian's expression instantly changed when he witnessed this scene, and he charged over to the little white fellow and blocked this attack for her. Bang! Yi Xian absorbed the strand of sword light once more. Seventh Sword returned to her original position once more. She gazed at Yi Xian with her large eyes filled with bewilderment. Meanwhile, Mu Tian spoke abruptly from afar, "Miss Seventh Sword, this person's physique is special. He can absorb swords. He can devour swords." Sword Cheat sized up Yi Xian, and then she vanished on the spot in the next moment. Yi Xian didn't dodge at all, and he just allowed the woman to stab him with her sword. However, right when the sword was about to stab him, the sword in the woman's hand suddenly vanished, and then she slammed her fist against Yi Xian's chest. Bang! Yi Xian's entire body was blasted flying for thousands of meters away, and he smashed the space there into pieces. Yi Xian was slightly stunned in the shattered space. Damn it! This woman cultivates both the sword and the martial arts. Yi Xian didn't think too much about it, and he immediately lay flat on the ground. Fortunately, he possessed the undying bloodline and a formidable physical body. Otherwise, he might have died just now. After the woman blasted Yi Xian away with her fist, she slashed at the little white fellow that was still summoning. The little white fellow was very serious about summoning, and no one knew who she was summoning. When she saw the sword slashing towards her, she blinked, and then hurriedly took out an ancient broken shield from her storage ring and placed it in front of her. Bang! The woman's sword slashed at the broken shield, and it trembled violently. The little white fellow was completely unharmed, but the woman herself was blasted thousands of meters away. After the woman stopped, she looked at her right hand. Her right hand had actually cracked. The woman looked at the broken shield in front of the little white fellow, and her eyes were filled with disbelief. Because the power of her sword strike had been completely reflected back at her. What kind of shield is this? After the woman was blasted back, the little white fellow continued summoning. She was summoning a little too much. Meanwhile, the divine word master in the starry sky wasn't idle either. He was summoning as well. At this moment, Yi Xian suddenly appeared in front of the little white fellow. He looked at the broken shield and gulped. Can you lend this to me?" The little white fellow looked at Yi Xian, and she was somewhat hesitant. Yi Xian took out a stick of candied hawthorn and handed it to her. The little white fellow didn't hesitate at all, and she immediately handed the ancient shield to Yi Xian. Yi Xian picked up the ancient shield with some excitement. The moment he picked up the ancient shield, he immediately felt a mysterious power. It was the power of this ancient shield. Yi Xian opened his right hand, and the sword spirit appeared in his hand. He looked at the woman in the cotton dress and laughed. "Come and fight." As soon as he finished speaking, he charged at the seventh swordsman. In the distance, the sword in the seventh swordsman's hand disappeared. She knew that she couldn't use her sword to deal with this person. The seventh swordsman punched out, and his fist flashed. The moment the seventh swordsman punched out, Yi Xian blocked with the shield in front of him. Boom! As the fist flashed, the seventh swordsman was blasted thousands of feet away. Along the way, the space collapsed and was annihilated. Yi Xian was a little stunned. Was it really that terrifying? Yi Xian looked at the ancient shield in his hand, and he was shocked to the extreme. This was the guardian of the universe. Defeated by this shield? What kind of godly and heaven-defying thing was this? In the distance, the seventh swordsman was also a little stunned. What the hell had he encountered? This guy could swallow swords, and he had this strange shield. How could he fight? The seventh swordsman felt a little sullen at this moment. At this moment, the Divine Word Master suddenly looked at Mu Xiaodao below. "Miss Mu, you guys switch opponents." Mu Xiaodao's opponent was Tu. Hearing the Divine Word Master's words, Mu Xiaodao directly rushed at the distant Yi Xian. She had long wanted to fight Yi Xian. The seventh swordsman rushed at Tu. Both of them were top-rate swordsmen. As soon as they fought, sword light shot out violently and violently. As for Mu Xiaodao, a throwing knife arrived first as she charged at Yi Xian. Yi Xian didn't feel any pressure at all, and he blocked it with his shield. Bang! The throwing knife was directly ricocheted off and slashed at Mu Xiaodao at an extremely terrifying speed. Mu Xiaodao blinked and hurriedly opened her palm, causing a throwing knife to fly out. Bang! The two throwing knives exploded into nothingness as soon as they came into contact. Mu Xiaodao was extremely shocked when she witnessed this scene, and she looked at the broken shield in Yi Xian's hand. "What shield is that?" Yi Xian twisted his neck and chuckled. "Guess." Mu Xiaodao hesitated for a moment and said, "Can you lend it to me? I'll definitely return it. I swear on my character." Yi Xian shouted angrily, "You have no morals at all. You're really bad, woman." As soon as he finished speaking, he charged at Mu Xiaodao. Mu Xiaodao, on the other side, the space behind the divine oracle suddenly trembled violently. In next to no time, countless formidable auras suddenly arose from that expanse of space. At the same time, the starry sky in the surroundings started to tremble violently as if an earthquake was about to occur. A powerful being was approaching this star domain. The Divine Word Master looked down at the little white fellow and grinned. "My people have arrived. Where's yours? Competing in numbers? Who in the 10,000 worlds could fight against the Cosmos God Court?" Below, the little white guy stopped. Chapter 1574. In the starry sky, a group of mysterious white-robed experts walked out from behind the Divine Word Master. There were a total of 28 white-robed experts. All of them wore black masks, so their faces could not be seen clearly. In their hands, they held some sort of circular flywheel. Following the appearance of these 28 people, the Divine Word Master heaved a sigh of relief. The Cosmos Divine Court was huge and mysterious. How mysterious was it? It could be said that even he, the Divine Word Master, did not know how powerful the Cosmos Divine Court was. He also did not know how many halls there were in the Cosmos Divine Court. Because everyone had their own duties and was in charge of different starfields and universes, many halls did not know each other. For example, their Yen Hall was only in charge of researching ancient techniques and spells. They rarely interfered in other matters. This time, they were sent to capture the sinner of misfortune under the orders of the mysterious God Hall. And these 28 people were from the mysterious God Hall. He did not know much about the mysterious God Hall. He only knew that the mysterious God Hall was of a higher level than the Yen Hall. Following the appearance of these 28 people, Dongli Zhan's face instantly darkened. The Cosmos Divine Court had sent more experts. Moreover, the cultivation of these mysterious white-robed people had already surpassed the Heavenly Way realm. The Cosmos Divine Court was stronger than he had expected. At this moment, the leading white-robed expert suddenly took off his mask. It was an old face. The mysterious God Hall's Hall Master, Lin Tsang. Lin Tsang's gaze fell on the white little fellow below. When he saw the little fellow, a trace of disappointment flashed across his eyes. It's just a clone. What a pity. If this was the main body, it would be great if the Cosmos Divine Court could control it. Spirit Ancestor. Currently, although the Cosmos Divine Court had spiritual halls, there was no existence at the level of the Spirit Ancestor. A Spirit Ancestor was really very useful. Below, the white little fellow had already finished summoning. She took out her candied fruit and continued to lick it. This time, she had summoned a lot of them. She was very tired. She had to replenish herself. Lin Tsang shook his head again. What a pity. If this was the main body of the Spirit Ancestor, he would have brought it to the Cosmos Divine Court regardless of the price. Unfortunately, it wasn't. However, it didn't matter. Since he had a clone, it meant that he had a main body. After this matter was over, with the strength of the Cosmos God Court, it wouldn't be difficult for them to find the main body of the Spirit Ancestor. Lin Tsang looked at the nearby Yi Xian. At this moment, Yi Xian was still fighting with Mu Xiaodao. At this moment, Mu Xiaodao was extremely angry because she couldn't do anything to Yi Xian because he had this worn-out ancient shield. That shield had 100% chance of reflecting damage. How were they supposed to play? However, Yi Xian couldn't do anything to her. Both sides were in a stalemate. At this time, Lin Tsang suddenly said, "Kill." As soon as he finished speaking, a white-robed powerhouse behind him suddenly took a step forward. In the next moment, the flywheel in his hand directly flew out. Chi! An extremely ear-piercing sound of tearing resounded abruptly. In the distance, Yi Xian's expression suddenly changed. He turned around and raised his shield to block. Boom! The flywheel was blasted flying, and it slashed towards the white-robed powerhouse at an extremely terrifying speed. The white-robed powerhouse was slightly stunned. He hadn't expected that Yi Xian's shield would be so terrifying that it could actually reflect damage. Right at this moment, Lin Tsang suddenly pressed his right hand forward lightly, and then the flywheel was forced to stop around 3 m in front of him. Lin Tsang gazed at Yi Xian, and then he pressed his finger lightly against the flywheel. Bang! The space in front of Yi Xian was suddenly obliterated. Yi Xian's expression changed drastically, and he immediately raised his shield to block it. Bang! An explosion resounded, and then Yi Xian was suddenly pushed 3 kilometers back. However, the space in front of Lin Tsang had been obliterated as well. However, Lin Tsang wasn't injured at all. Lin Tsang furrowed his brows. This ancient shield was more than a little strange. In the distance, after Yi Xian came to a stop, his face fell, because he realized that the mysterious power in his ancient shield seemed to have disappeared. It was gone. If that mysterious energy didn't exist, then it might be impossible to reflect damage. Yi Xian hurriedly ran over to the white fellow. The white fellow blinked, and then it lightly blew a mouthful of violet energy into the shield. Bang! The shield seemed to have been activated, and it instantly emanated a mysterious dark glow. Moreover, that mysterious energy had appeared once more. Yi Xian blinked. It needs to replenish its energy? The little fellow nodded. Yi Xian was slightly speechless. So it turns out that it needs to replenish its energy. Fortunately, I have violet energy as well. Lin Tsang gazed at Yi Xian, attack together. Obviously, he didn't intend to fight Chun Shi by himself. Ganging up on him was the way to go. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Tsang took the lead and charged towards Yi Xian. Behind him were 27 experts that had surpassed the heavenly Dao realm. They intended to kill Yi Xian. Yi Xian's expression gradually became ferocious when he saw the 27 of them charge at him. He knew that he couldn't defeat them even with the shield. After all, Mu Xiaodao was glaring fiercely from the side and was ready to attack at any moment. However, he had to fight even if he couldn't defeat them. Yi Xian held the sword spirit tightly in his right hand and was about to activate his bloodline. Meanwhile, the white fellow by his side suddenly pressed down on him with its little claw. Yi Xian turned to look at the little fellow. The little fellow grinned, and then it pointed its little claw towards the sky. Yi Xian raised his head. Right at this moment, a black shadow suddenly shot into the sky. Bang! The sky suddenly turned pitch black, and Lin Tsang, who was charging at the front, was forcefully stopped on the spot by a powerful force. In front of him was a bull. To be more precise, it was an enormous bull that was the size of a hill. It was this bull that had forcefully stopped Lin Tsang. Little bull. The demon beast that was cultivating in Xiao Ta's body. However, the experts behind Lin Tsang weren't stopped, and they charged directly at Yi Xian. But right at this moment, the surrounding starry sky suddenly trembled. In the next moment, countless furious roars resounded in the surrounding starry sky. The furious roars of demon beasts. As the furious roars resounded, the space behind the white fellow suddenly split open. In the next moment, countless powerful demon beasts suddenly charged out and collided with the group of experts from the God Mystery Palace. There were a lot of demon beasts, and a few thousand of them charged out. Moreover, more were charging out ceaselessly. Rumble. The 27 experts were caught off guard and were directly knocked flying. Shen Yan and Lin Tsang were stunned. At this moment, there were tens of thousands of demon beasts in the starry sky, and there were all sorts of demon beasts. That wasn't the main point. The main point was that the weakest among them was at the peak of the heavenly Dao realm. Where did they come from? Right at this moment, the demon beasts turned around to look at the white fellow, and then they laid down in a subservient manner. The white fellow grinned and raised its little claw lightly. The demon beasts slowly stood up, but their eyes were filled with reverence and excitement as they gazed at the white fellow. Where did all these demon beasts come from? All of them had received the white fellow's kindness in the past. The white fellow didn't have a good impression of humans, but she had a good impression of demon beasts. She'd gone to so many places with the green-clothed man, and she'd met many demon beasts along the way. Moreover, her violet energy was simply something that could change the fate of demon beasts. The spiritual energy of the spirit ancestor. So, when they heard the white fellow's call, the demon beasts tore through the starry sky and charged over. Actually, there were still some powerful demon beasts on the way. The heaven god stared fixedly at the spirit ancestor, and he was about to speak. Meanwhile, the white little fellow slapped its claw forward. In an instant, the starry sky in the surroundings suddenly trembled violently. In the next moment, countless pieces of space were torn apart, and then countless spirits charged out. They were all spirits of heaven and earth, and they were densely packed together. There were even some Tendo spirits from other worlds amongst them. Most of these Tendo spirits had received the spirit ancestor's kindness in the past, and some had rushed over after hearing the spirit ancestor's call. The spirit ancestor's call. She had to come. It didn't take long for a few 100,000 spirits of heaven and earth to appear in the starry sky, and they surrounded the white fellow intimately when they saw her. Besides that, there were over 100,000 demon beasts. Of course, only 36,000 were at the peak of the heavenly might realm, and most of the demon beasts that had rushed over were at the divine guard realm. Most importantly, there was an endless stream of demon beasts rushing over. At this moment, the numbers on both sides had been completely reversed. Shen Yan stared fixedly at the demon beasts and spirits of heaven and earth, and then he withdrew a divine decree and spoke in a low voice, "We've been ordered by the divine decree to capture the sinner of misfortune. If you dare to help the sinner of misfortune, then you'll suffer for eternity." At this moment, the little white fellow threw the candied hawthorn stick at the god firmament. Then, she pointed her little claw at the god firmament angrily and babbled, but no one knew what she was saying. It didn't take long for the powerful demon beasts to charge toward Shen Yan's group. At the same time, the spirits of heaven and earth charged towards Shen Yan's group as well. What Cosmos Court? They didn't know them at all. The Cosmos Court was too mysterious. The number of people who knew about them was too little. Of course, it was useless even if they knew. Could the spirit ancestors' appeal lose to the Cosmos Court? Shen Yan's face instantly turned extremely unsightly when he saw the spirits of heaven and earth charging towards him. He suddenly opened his palm, and a golden talisman shot into the sky. The golden talisman entered the starry sky and transformed into a huge teleportation formation. It didn't take long for a strange aura to sweep out from within the teleportation formation. It was still calling for help. The Mystery Palace couldn't compare to the Divine Speech Palace. The Mystery Palace controlled the 36 palaces, and the experts they could mobilize weren't something the Divine Speech Masters could compare to. Shen Yan stared fixedly at the white little fellow. "You want to compare people? I'm afraid you can't compete with me." "Really?" At this moment, the space behind the little white fellow suddenly split open. In the next moment, a man in green slowly walked out. P.S. Ask for a ticket. Chapter 1575. Is that so? As soon as these words resounded, the surroundings suddenly fell silent. At a certain spot in the shadows, the mysterious woman who'd been protecting Yi Xian trembled slightly. She turned around and looked behind the little white fellow. A green-clothed man was walking out slowly from there. The green-clothed man looked very young, and he looked very similar to Yi Xian. Moreover, there was a trace of a smile on his face, and it was a very calm smile. It was still that familiar smile. The mysterious woman gazed at the green-clothed man with an extremely complicated expression in her eyes. On the other hand, some experts from the Undying Imperial clan gazed at the green-clothed man as well. When they saw the green-clothed man, the expressions of the Undying Emperor clan experts immediately became complicated. Especially Dong Lijian. He'd been hiding in the shadows during that battle, and that was why he hadn't died. Moreover, he'd personally witnessed this man slaughter the Undying Imperial clan, and he'd even almost annihilated them. Now, he'd appeared once more. The little white fellow instantly grinned when she saw the green-clothed man, and then she flew over to him and rubbed her head against his forehead in an extremely intimate manner. The green-clothed man grinned, and then he rubbed the little white fellow while his eyes were filled with affection. Lin Tsang stared fixedly at the green-clothed man. "This isn't your main body." He'd noticed that this wasn't the man's main body, but his voice still carried a trace of seriousness. Because he couldn't sense the aura of this clone. Who exactly is he? Actually, the Cosmos Court had investigated the people behind Yi Xian. However, they'd placed their focus on the woman in a simple dress because she'd attacked many times. They knew a little about the green-clothed man, Dao Yi, but they didn't know much about him. The green-clothed man didn't answer Lin Tsang. Instead, he gazed at Yi Xian, and he grinned when he saw Yi Xian. "We meet again." Yi Xian fell silent for a moment before he said, "Should I call you father or senior?" Actually, Yi Xian wasn't stupid, and he'd guessed the green-clothed man's identity a long time ago. They had the same bloodline, and they even looked alike. Even an idiot would know what was going on. The green-robed man smiled and said, "Just call me father. Calling me senior doesn't sound nice." Yi Xian was just about to ask something when the green-clothed man said, "I know you have many questions, but this clone of mine doesn't have the time to waste. So, I'll answer them for you in the future." Yi Xian thought about it and nodded. "All right." The green-robed man looked up at the seventh swordsman, who was fighting with Tuesday. The next moment, he pointed with his fingers. Chi! A wisp of sword chi pierced through the air. Up in the sky, seventh swordsman's expression changed drastically. She suddenly held her sword with both hands and slashed forward. This was an all-out attack. However, the sword in her hand shattered as soon as it descended. In the next moment, her figure was blasted flying. As she flew, her body was obliterated inch by inch. It wasn't just her body, even her soul was being obliterated. However, at the instant when she was about to perish, a mysterious force suddenly enveloped her, and then she vanished. The azure-robed man looked into the depths of the starry sky and smiled. He did not attack again. He could kill the other party, but there was no need to. She was just a nobody. The expressions of the experts of the Cosmos Court changed when they saw the azure-robed man attack. Especially Xiaofan, who led the group. He almost killed a protector in an instant with a single attack. At this moment, Xiaofan's heart was on the verge of collapse. After all, the strength of the protectors of the laws of the Cosmos Court was extremely terrifying. In a one-on-one battle, such protectors could fight on par with anyone, including him. However, he was almost killed in an instant just now. On the other side, Mu Xiaodao gazed at the azure-robed man, blinked, and then turned around and fled. She'd confirmed that she absolutely couldn't defeat him. Mu Xiaodao didn't hesitate at all to flee. In her opinion, she would absolutely not make pointless sacrifices. If she could win, then she would fight, if she couldn't, then she would flee. Life was so beautiful, so she had to cherish it. The woman in linen clothes didn't flee. She just gazed at the azure-robed man with a solemn expression in her eyes. The azure-robed man gazed at where Arya was. At this moment, Arya was in an intense battle with the Divine Hall Knights, and they couldn't do anything to her at all. If it was in terms of physical defense, then she could be said to be the best in the universe. Even the green-robed man, one of the three swords, who had cultivated his physical body, was no match for her. She was the ancestor of evil beasts, and on top of that, she followed the little white fellow every day. She drank the primordial purple vapor almost every day. How could she not be number one? Meanwhile, the green-clothed man suddenly slashed with his sword. A ray of sword light flashed through the battlefield. Chi! In the sky, the heads of the 1,200 overnights Templar flew out, before falling neatly to the ground. The surroundings suddenly fell deathly silent. One sword to kill over 1,200 peak Heavenway realm experts. How were they supposed to play? Those Cosmos God Court experts were in despair. At this moment, the little white fellow by the green-clothed man's side suddenly pointed at Shen Tian, and then it waved its little claws swiftly. No one knew what it was trying to say. A moment later, the green-robed man looked at the firmament god. The firmament god glared at the green-robed man and said, "My people are here." Just as he finished speaking, the black hole behind him suddenly emitted an extremely powerful aura. This aura was powerful, but it also carried a trace of antiquity. It didn't seem to belong to this era. Who was it that came? Everyone gazed at the black hole. All the experts on the undying Imperial clan side had extremely solemn expressions on their faces. Suddenly, the green-robed man drew his sword and slashed. Hiss! A strand of sword light entered the spatial black hole. After a moment of silence, a bloody head rolled out from within the spatial black hole. Moreover, the powerful and ancient aura had vanished. Everyone was petrified. The firmament god's face turned pale, and he was terrified to the point of retreating repeatedly. At this moment, he was truly terrified. He was dead just like that. A peerless expert hadn't even shown his face yet had died just like that. Exactly what realm is this green-robed man at? The green-robed man gazed at the firmament god and smiled, I won't bully you. Why don't you call some more people over? It's best if you call the universe laws behind your cosmos court. To tell you the truth, I've been looking for them for a very long time. I have no other intentions. I just want to chat and drink some tea. The universe laws. Tu took a deep and long glance at the green-robed man. Just as she'd guessed, both this fellow and that woman were looking for the universe laws. However, even with their strength, could they not find them? The firmament god looked at Yi Xian, Your Excellency, you sure talk big. The universe laws were above the cosmos court, yet this man wanted to challenge them? Below, the green-robed man smiled, Actually, I've been to your cosmos court before. Unfortunately, the universe laws aren't there. As for you, as he spoke, he looked at Yi Xian in the distance, I wanted to leave this to you, but I didn't expect you to leave so quickly. You've reached the nine-dimensional universe in an instant. Yi Xian, the green-robed man looked at the firmament god, do you still want to call for more people? If you do, I can wait for a while. The firmament god fell silent for a moment before saying, Who are you? The green-robed man smiled and pointed at Yi Xian in the distance, I'm his father. The firmament god glared at the green-robed man, do you know what you're doing? You're going against the universe laws and order. You're going against the heavens. The green-robed man shrugged and smiled, it's just going against the heavens. It's not a big deal, I'm used to it anyway. The crowd, the firmament god suddenly roared furiously, How dare you? How dare you blaspheme the heavens? Chi! A strand of sword light suddenly pierced through the firmament god's forehead. Boom! The firmament god's soul was destroyed. An instant kill. Below, the green-robed man shook his head, My principle is that if people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If the heavens don't offend me, I won't offend the heavens. If the heavens offend me, then I'll destroy the heavens. Destroy the heavens. Everyone was looking at the green-robed man. Such a light sentence, yet it caused everyone present to tremble in fear. Especially the experts from the Undying Emperor clan. This man had almost annihilated the Undying Emperor clan. At this moment, the Undying Emperor clansmen finally understood one thing. That is, even the Cosmos God Court was powerless in front of this green-robed male. Moreover, this man was just a clone. All those years ago, the Undying Emperor clan had offended this man. Weren't they tired of living? Meanwhile, the woman in linen clothes spoke abruptly, Sir, we're not targeting him for no reason. He's a sinner with a calamity body, and every day he lives is going against the order of the universe. This world needs order, right? The green-robed man smiled, Are you going to reason with me now? The woman spoke softly, Are you willing to? The green-robed man shook his head and smiled. If my son is really a heinous person, you don't need to do anything. I will end him myself. However, from the time he was born until now, what had he done wrong? He doesn't seem to have done anything, but all of you almost killed him as soon as he was born. Do you think that's right? The woman spoke in a low voice, He has a calamity body. The green-robed man smiled, Does a calamity body deserve to die? As he spoke, he placed his thumb on the hilt of his sword. The woman in linen clothes looked at the green-robed man without any fear in her eyes. Just as she was about to speak, Mu Xiaodao, who had escaped earlier, returned. Mu Xiaodao hurriedly stopped the woman in linen clothes. She looked at the green-robed man and smiled. "Boss, can I say something?" The green-robed man smiled. "Of course you can." Mu Xiaodao said seriously, "A calamity body doesn't deserve to die, just like a sword. A sword is a killing weapon, but there's no good or bad sword. A good person can do good with a sword, but a bad person can do evil with a sword. So, it doesn't mean that a calamity body deserves to die." As she spoke, she pointed at Yi Xian in the distance. "I think your son is a good person. Although he has a calamity body, he's loyal, kind, and honest. So what if he has a calamity body? Many people who don't have a calamity body are still heinous. So, whether someone is bad or not doesn't depend on their physique. As for order wasn't something that couldn't be changed, it could be changed. The law is nothing more than human feelings." Yi Xian was speechless. Everyone, the green-robed man looked at Mu Xiaodao and shook his head with a smile. "Little girl, your words. I'm embarrassed to kill someone." Chapter 1576. Needless to say, the expressions of everyone here were quite strange. Is Mu Xiaodao really from the Cosmos Court? As for the experts of the Cosmos Court, they were looking at Mu Xiaodao as well because they'd been shocked by what she'd said. Is that something a guardian of the universe would say? A sinner isn't guilty? Isn't that overturning the order of the universe? She's going to be incinerated. On the other hand, Yi Xian's face darkened. He was naturally aware of her little tricks. Actually, he admired her a little as well. She really knew how to be strong and cowardly at the same time. Yi Xian glanced at the green-clothed man but didn't speak. He knew that the green-clothed man was definitely aware of Mu Xiaodao's tricks. Everyone was looking at the green-clothed man, and it was up to the green-clothed man to decide whether to kill Mu Xiaodao or not. The green-clothed man suddenly gazed at Yi Xian and smiled. "What do you think?" Yi Xian fell silent. He knew what the green-clothed man meant. Actually, it was up to Yi Xian to decide whether to kill him or not. Everyone was looking at Yi Xian. Yi Xian glanced at the surroundings. There were countless corpses and blood all around him, and most of them belonged to the undying Emperor clan. Yi Xian's face was emotionless. "Kill! Kill!" Mu Xiaodao's expression instantly changed drastically when she heard Yi Xian, and she hurriedly said, "Everyone, retreat immediately." As soon as she finished speaking, the experts of the Cosmos Court retreated. The green-clothed man gazed at Yi Xian and smiled. "I can kill you. But you'll have to pay the price." As soon as he finished speaking, he opened his palm and a sword suddenly flew out. A moment later, heads started falling incessantly from the sky. These experts of the Cosmos Court were extremely strong, but they were being slaughtered like lambs at this moment. No one could stop that ray of light. The ray of sword light suddenly appeared in front of Mu Xiaodao. Mu Xiaodao's pupils suddenly constricted. She was about to attack, but the ray of sword light stopped. Then, the ray of sword light slashed towards the right, and a dozen heads flew out. Mu Xiaodao took Ma Yi and disappeared into the starry sky. The green-robed man looked at Yi Xian in the distance and said with a smile, "This girl is smart, you can deal with her yourself in the future." As he spoke, he opened his palm and the wisp of sword light returned to his hand. At this moment, countless heads slowly fell from the starry sky, and blood poured down like a torrential rain. It was extremely bloody. Yi Xian looked to the other side. The soldiers of the great Qing dynasty were still alive. There were 60 to 70,000 of them. The green-robed man did not kill them. These people were too weak for him. However, at this moment, these soldiers from the great Qing dynasty had already been surrounded by experts from the undead emperor clan. The one leading them was none other than Marshal Mu Tian. Mu Tian looked at Yi Xian. "Young Master Yi, we've lost." Yi Xian nodded. "Then die." With that, he gently waved his right hand, and all the experts swarmed forward. Mu Tian glared at Yi Xian. "We are willing to surrender." Yi Xian shook his head. "There's no need." Mu Tian slowly closed his eyes. After a while, Mu Tian turned to look at the soldiers. At this moment, all the soldiers were looking at him. Marshal Mu Tian said softly, "You are not wrong. The one who is wrong is the emperor. The one who is wrong is me. The one who is wrong is us being too weak." As he spoke, he suddenly pulled out the sword at his waist and roared, "Men of the great Qing dynasty, although we were not born on the same day, we can die on the same day. Kill." With that, he charged towards the experts from the undead emperor clan. "Kill." Behind him, countless soldiers of the great Qing dynasty roared in unison. Very soon, heads started falling from the sky. Naturally, they were the soldiers of the great Qing dynasty. Without the help of the peak experts from the Cosmos God Court, they were no match for the undead emperor clan. The difference in battle power was too great. Moreover, the undead emperor clan had the absolute advantage in numbers. Massacre. It was a massacre. Very soon, the 60 to 70,000 soldiers all fell to the ground. Mu Tian was also at the very front. Mu Tian looked into the distance with a dazed expression. The reason why he had come here was to bring these soldiers back. However, he did not expect that all of them would die here. Blame the Cosmos God Court? He had no right to blame the Cosmos God Court. The great Qing dynasty owed the Cosmos God Court back then. Now, they were just paying back the debt. Weakness was the original sin. Whoever was weak would die. If the undead emperor clan was weak today, then the entire undead emperor clan would be massacred. At this moment, Dongli Zhan suddenly said, "Bury Mu Tian's corpse." Although they were enemies, these soldiers of the great Qing dynasty were very courageous. They were worthy of the respect of the undead emperor clan. Very soon, someone brought Mu Tian's corpse away. At this moment, the experts from the undead emperor clan looked at the green-clothed man in the distance. When they looked at the green-clothed man, some of the experts from the undead emperor clan had a trace of fear in their eyes. This green-clothed man's strength was too terrifying. At this moment, the green-clothed man suddenly raised his head and looked at the mysterious woman. The mysterious woman lowered her head slightly and did not speak. The green-clothed man smiled, "Do you hate me?" She shook her head. The green-clothed man spoke softly, "I'm sorry." Tears suddenly flowed from the mysterious woman's eyes. The green-clothed man walked over to the mysterious woman, grabbed her hand, and spoke softly, "Nan, Dongli Nan." That was the mysterious woman's name. Dongli Nan gazed at the green-clothed man. "I don't blame you." The green-clothed man laughed bitterly. "I never expected that woman to not tell you the truth and cause you to misunderstand." When he spoke up to this point, his head ached as well. That woman really did things her own way. Especially in the past, she wanted to stab anyone she saw to death. The mysterious woman shook her head. "I don't hate her at all." In the past, she had naturally hated that woman. But now, she didn't hate her at all. On the contrary, she was very grateful to her. Because if it wasn't for her, then Yi Xian would have died countless times over. The green-clothed man smiled, "Go look for me." The mysterious woman turned around to look at Yi Xian. She hesitated for a moment before she spoke softly, "I want to accompany him." The green-clothed man thought for a moment and nodded, "All right." As he spoke, he looked at Yi Xian who was nearby. "Shall the three of us take a walk?" Yi Xian nodded. At this moment, the horned little girl followed them. She took out a candied hawthorn and licked it. She stomped her right foot lightly, and she seemed to be quite frivolous. The little white fellow flew onto the green-clothed man's shoulder. Just like that, the family walked off into the distance. The green-clothed man suddenly smiled. "Do you hate me?" Yi Xian said with a smile, "I can't defeat you." The green-clothed man laughed. "In that case, if you can beat me, then you're going to beat me up?" Yi Xian shrugged and didn't speak. The green-clothed man patted Yi Xian's shoulder lightly and said softly, "I was much more miserable than you were back then." Yi Xian glanced at the green-clothed man. "How miserable?" The green-clothed man smiled. "It's all in the past." As he spoke, he glanced at Dong Linen who was beside him. "Don't hate your mother. If you want to blame someone, blame that woman." Yi Xian asked, "Qing?" The green-clothed man nodded. "That woman. It's really hard to explain. If she had explained it back then, everything would have been fine. Everyone says that I'm crazy. I feel that she's the crazy one. Moreover, she's an abnormal crazy one." Dong Linen shook his head. "There's nothing else." The green-clothed man shook his head. "Let's not talk about her." As he spoke, he looked at Yi Xian. "Are you curious why she and I didn't go directly to the Cosmos God Court?" Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and said, "To train me?" The green-clothed man smiled. "That must be the reason. Another important reason is that the law of the universe isn't in the Cosmos God Court. She and I went our separate ways. She was searching for the law of the universe while I was searching for the mysterious person in your body. To solve the problem of your body, the first is to solve the law of the universe. The second is to find out the origin of the mysterious person in your body and kill him from the root. In other words, we have to cut off his past life, present life and future life. This way, he can completely cut off his connection with you." Yi Xian said in a deep voice, "Do you have any clues?" The green-clothed man shook his head. "Not yet. However, I'm checking one by one. I won't let any of the top experts go. Whether they are in the legends or still alive, I won't let any of them go." Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and said, "Did you meet anyone you can't beat?" The green-clothed man smiled. "I don't think so." Yi Xian, the green-clothed man continued, "The law of the universe is quite troublesome. The problem is that they are too good at hiding. Even if she and I work together, we can't find where they are hiding. However, they are everywhere. It's very strange. There is a way to find them, and that is to destroy the universe. The universe is where they depend on. If the universe is destroyed, they will definitely appear. However, this is too heartless. Although I'm not a good person, I really can't do such an inhumane thing. However." At this point, he looked at Yi Xian. "She almost did that back then. But fortunately, because of you, this universe is a little more pleasing to her eyes. Otherwise, she would have gone crazy and massacred the universe." "Yi Xian," Dong Linen said softly, "she probably loves me and my dog." The green-clothed man nodded and looked at Yi Xian. "There is only one reason why she and I didn't take action in the Cosmos God Court. That is, we hoped that you could solve it yourself. However, just now, you made me take action. Since I helped you solve the problem in front of you, you have to pay the price. Are you ready?" Yi Xian hurriedly said, "Isn't it natural for a father to help his son?" The green-clothed man smiled. "You are right, but I am still a little unhappy. Back then, I was so miserable. Why did you live so comfortably? Let me tell you, this is the last time we help you. In the future, don't expect me or my old friends to help you. As the price for helping you this time, I have decided to seal all your cultivation and bloodline." As his voice fell, he slapped Yi Xian's shoulder and a wisp of sword qi directly entered Yi Xian's body. Boom! In an instant, Yi Xian's cultivation was directly suppressed, and the two bloodlines instantly became silent. Yi Xian rolled his eyes. F*ck me. Can I change my father?" After saying that, he directly fainted. P.S. The most handsome man in the world, who else but me can do it? Chapter 1577. After Yi Xian fainted, Dong Linen hurriedly held him. Dong Linen's eyes were filled with tenderness as she looked at Yi Xian in her arms. All these years, she had owed Yi Xian too much. Especially towards the end, she had almost caused Yi Xian's death. The azure-robed man suddenly looked at Tu and Nian Nian in the distance. His gaze fell on Nian Nian, and he smiled. "Miss, your swordsmanship has reached the peak of the mortal realm. Do you wish to improve?" Nian Nian nodded. "Please enlighten me." The azure-robed man opened his palm, and a ray of white light suddenly entered between Mu Niannian's eyebrows. In the next moment, a map appeared in Mu Niannian's mind. The azure-robed man said, "Miss, you can go there." Mu Niannian looked at Yi Xian. The azure-robed man smiled. His path should be taken by himself. Mu Niannian was silent. The azure-robed man continued, "There are many things that he must face by himself. Outsiders' help is not a good thing for him. Moreover, if you continue to help him, you will inevitably be targeted by the universal laws. With your current strength, you cannot contend against the universal laws." Mu Niannian looked at Yi Xian again, and she nodded slightly. "I understand." Saying that, she looked at Tu. Together, Tu looked at Yi Xian below, and was silent. The azure-robed man smiled. "Let him walk the rest of the path by himself." Tu said softly, "You want his swordsmanship to improve?" The azure-robed man nodded. "Not only that, there is an opportunity over there that I hope he can obtain. Of course, whether he can obtain it or not will depend on himself. I will not force him." Tu looked at Yi Xian for a long time, and then turned to Mu Niannian. "Let's go." Mu Niannian nodded, and soon, the two women turned into a ray of sword light and disappeared into the starry sky. After the two women left, the azure-robed man turned to the undying imperial clan's patriarch, Dongli Jing. Dongli Jing looked at the azure-robed man, and did not speak. The green-robed man suddenly laughed and said, "As a person, I repay kindness with kindness and take revenge with enmity." As he spoke, he opened his palm, and 3 sword rays suddenly flew toward Higashi Yasushi. Higashi Yasushi glanced at the 3 sword rays. "What are these?" The green-clothed man said, "Back then, I killed the final trump card of the undying imperial clan. Now, I will give you all a trump card." After a moment of silence, Higashi Yasushi shook his head. "No need." The green-clothed man was slightly startled. Dongli Jing continued, "This is a trump card, but it will also make the people of our undying imperial clan feel reliant on it. I do not wish for my clansmen to become reliant on me. In the future, my undying imperial clan will not have an ancestor, and will not have an extremely powerful trump card. If we're talking about trump cards, then the undead clan is our trump card." On the battlefield, countless experts from the Undying Emperor clan suddenly roared in unison. The Undying Emperor clan is invincible. At this moment, all of the Undying Imperial clan members were roaring angrily. The Undying Emperor clan did not need the protection of others. Higashi K looked at the green-robed man and said, "Thank you for your kindness." The green-robed man nodded slightly. "All right." As he spoke, he waved his right hand lightly, and the 3 strands of sword chi disappeared. By the side, Dongli Nan sighed in his heart. She knew that the Undying Imperial clan could accept Yi Xian. However, towards the green-robed man, it could not be said that they hated him. It could only be said that the Undying Imperial clan could not accept his protection. Pride. Although the Undying Imperial clan could not compare to the Cosmos God Court, and even less compared to the green-robed man, this clan still had their own pride. The green-robed man looked at Yi Xian in front of him. He opened his palm, and the ancient shield in front of Yi Xian instantly flew into his hand. This chapter is not finished, please continue to the next page. Then, he passed the ancient shield to Little White. Little White blinked, then pointed at the unconscious Yi Xian. The green-robed man shook his head, he doesn't need it. The little white fellow hesitated for a moment, then kept the ancient shield. The green-robed man looked at Yi Xian. He pointed his finger in front of him, and the space there directly split apart. The green-robed man laughed. I'm going to send him away. Dong Linen hurriedly asked, to where? The green-robed man smiled, to a very, very far place. There, he will no longer have any helpers. If he wants to survive, he can only rely on himself. Dong Linen frowned, he doesn't have any trump cards at all? The green-robed man laughed lightly, what trump cards does he need? He is going there to grow, not to act cool. Just as Dong Linen was about to speak, the green-robed man said seriously, he has to become stronger. There are many things that he can only rely on himself in the future. Dong Linen asked, mysterious person? The green-robed man nodded, while I was searching, I discovered some strange things. I can only say that the other party is not simple. And now, he is too weak. Dong Linen went silent for a moment, then nodded, all right. The green-robed man looked at Yi Xian. He pointed with his finger, and a ray of sword light dragged Yi Xian directly into the pitch-black spatial crack. In an instant, that ray of sword light tore through countless star fields with Yi Xian. On the battlefield, Dong Linen wanted to say something, but stopped. The green-robed man looked at Dong Linen, if he follows you, with your protection, he will become more and more useless. Let him go and temper himself. Dong Linen said solemnly, the laws of the universe. The green-robed man laughed, they don't dare to show themselves. Dong Linen said again, the Cosmos God Court. The green-robed man laughed, he will deal with it himself. Dong Linen shook his head, he is too young. The green-robed man laughed, if he is always protected, he will never truly grow. He has to walk his own path step by step, and now, there is not much time left for him. Tianming and I cannot protect him forever. Moreover, if he stays in the Undying Emperor clan, he will bring a true calamity upon you. Dong Linen looked at the green-robed man, what rank does the Undying Emperor clan belong in this universe? The green-robed man shook his head, nothing. Hearing this, Dong Linen slowly clenched his fists. The green-robed man laughed, see you in the future. As he spoke, he, the little girl, and the little white fellow gradually became illusory. Dong Linen looked at the green-robed man, live well. The green-robed man laughed, don't worry, the one who will kill me has not been born yet. As soon as he finished speaking, he disappeared. The little white fellow and the little girl also disappeared along with him. Dong Linen looked into the depths of the starry sky, her gaze gradually becoming infatuated. At this moment, Dong Linen suddenly said, Third sister, what are your plans? Dong Linen said softly, I want to stay in the Undying Emperor clan and cultivate. Dong Linen nodded, that is exactly what I wanted. As she spoke, she looked into the depths of the starry sky, I wonder where that little fellow was teleported to. Dong Linen looked into the depths of the starry sky, her eyes filled with worry, Xian is so kind and honest, I wonder how much he will suffer if he goes to an unfamiliar environment. At the side, Dong Linen kept shaking his head. Honest? She really couldn't tell. This chapter is not finished, please continue to the next page, since when has Yi Xian been honest? This fellow is the most dishonest. After a while, the Undying Emperor clan started to clean up the battlefield. In this battle, although the Undying Emperor clan had sacrificed many people, they had also gained a lot. This time, the surviving experts of the Undying Emperor clan would become even stronger. Other than that, The Undying Emperor clan had also obtained many spoils of war, especially the treasures left behind by the Cosmos God Court. On the other side, somewhere in the starry sky suddenly tore apart. The next moment, two women walked out. It was Mu Xiaodao and the hemp-clothed woman. Out of all the experts of the Cosmos God Court, only the two of them had escaped, and this was because the green-robed man had shown mercy. After coming out, the hemp-clothed woman's expression was extremely ugly, while Mu Xiaodao heaved a sigh of relief. The hemp-clothed woman suddenly looked at Mu Xiaodao. Are you that afraid of death? In order to live, you actually lowered your head to the evil forces. Mu Xiaodao shook his head. You really are a blockhead. The hemp-clothed woman stared angrily at Mu Xiaodao. Am I not? Mu Xiaodao suddenly raged. Am I your mother? Can you not be so stupid? Did you not see how strong that man is? He is only a clone, yet he could instantly kill the seventh sword. Are you going to fight him? Fight your mother. You idiot. Can't you just stop thinking about cultivation and watch more palace fights in the secular world? This old lady is going to die from anger. The hemp-clothed woman raged. Just because you can't win, you surrender? Mu Xiaodao sighed softly. Do you know how many of us have died this time? Big sister, do you know? Their deaths are really meaningless. All of them died for nothing. Including you. You have the guts to fight him head-on, but is there any meaning? Besides sending yourself to death, there is no meaning at all. As she said this, she looked at the hemp-clothed woman with disappointment. The other party has already cheated. You still foolishly went to fight him. You are really a retard. The hemp-clothed woman's expression was extremely gloomy. Mu Xiaodao added, Don't be angry. That man's strength is obviously not at our level. Isn't it normal to lose to such a person? The hemp-clothed woman looked at Mu Xiaodao. You are quite open-minded. Mu Xiaodao said calmly, The moment that man appeared, we should have retreated. Unfortunately, everyone still had to fight him. If we had retreated from the start, perhaps many of us could have survived. The hemp-clothed woman looked at Mu Xiaodao. You should not question the laws of the universe. Mu Xiaodao chuckled. Do sinners with disaster bodies really deserve to die? The hemp-clothed woman stared at Mu Xiaodao. You are questioning the laws of the universe again. Mu Xiaodao chuckled. Ma-yi, we are the guardians of the universe, but we are not tools, nor are we slaves. Faith is fine, but blind faith cannot be. As she said this, she turned to look at the star field behind her, softly said, This time, many people have died. The hemp-clothed woman said angrily, Why did he become a disaster body? Because his father and sister killed too many people, and went against the laws and order of the universe. Now that order has collapsed, whose fault is it? It is their family's fault. As long as he is alive, order cannot be restored. Do you understand? Mu Xiaodao nodded. I understand. The hemp-clothed woman glared at Mu Xiaodao. Then you still question the laws of the universe, and for them, Mu Xiaodao suddenly said, we can't beat them. The hemp-clothed woman was stunned. Mu Xiaodao looked at the hemp-clothed. I am not going to reason with you. Let's talk about something practical. We can't beat them now, do you understand? The hemp-clothed woman was silent. End of this chapter. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.